Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your most humble host, Mr. David Knoll, who's finishing up a hot dog. I'm also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Now, this particular subject has been on my mind for a while. And because of my brain situation and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so also sometimes the subject will be on my brain, but I haven't had enough time to mull it over. Got to chew my cud, as it were, and to analyze the situation from a bunch of different angles. So, hey, Mark, how are you? Witch Moon and Barry, how good to see you. So, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try not to make it 4 hours long. We'll see. you know, let's see if I can add a little bit of light without it making it too bright. Buzzachino, tell me true power is your strength or will. Choice is the main factor of change. Okay, so that's my point for. Hey, Scotty boy, I miss you. Um, but that's the reason I'm doing this video, because there are so many people who are like, well, I want to achieve this super duper brain power, or I want to attain this power. I want to attain the power to change the world, or the power. So, but they use the word power. But what they don't describe, what do you mean by power to do whatever it is you think you want to do? And I don't mean this to be snippy or putting people down, but some folks just have not thought this thing through. Okay, that's the basic thing. Well, I'm going to have the power to do blah 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 blah. Really? Or I want the power to do this. Okay, what you're going to do with it after you get it, if you could get it, and how do you intend to get there? Just. And what do you mean by power? That's the basic line in whatever context that you're using it. Now, there are some days, like at the age of 70 today, early this morning, I prayed for the power to be able to go to water therapy and get back home safe. So your idea of what does power mean? Give me the strength, O Lord. Give me the power to stand up, to do the exercises, to drive my truck and make it home safe. Give me the power to achieve these things today. That was my prayer this morning. So, what do you mean by power? So, I meant give me the strength and give me the mental capacity and everything to do these things, because I didn't have a ride from somebody else. I had to do this on my own today to be on time to achieve these things. So, that is today's example of what I mean by power. Now, somebody could say, well, the power, blah, blah, blah. No, but I mean to get my brain to click, to get everything there and to be on time and to do that sometimes my brain just wanders off on its own. So but that means the power to collectively within my own body and spirit and mind and so forth, get there and back. And I did. So, but other people, their vision of what power is, or the power to do a certain thing. Now, one of the things that really kind of sort of bothers me that I'm going to touch on first, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm picking on them, okay? But some folks go at some of this stuff half-assed, all right? And have been talking with some folks and have been watching other folks, and it's like they believe that the only way that they can achieve. Now, let me back up just a little bit. I did this too back in the day. All right. So I am guilty of this. All right. And it took several times and a bunch of understanding to go, I really had the wrong impression of this. Okay. So what I mean is that, through drugs and people, oh, I got to take ayahuasca. Why? Well, because I want to expand my mind. I want to achieve a certain amount of power, brain power. That somehow there's always the power to do something, the power to see in the future, the power to be clairvoyant in some way. And so, but they got to take ayahuasca. Now, I never took ayahuasca, but I took a bunch of other stuff, as you all know. But mushrooms was my primary shown up go to as far as let's talk to the Great Spirit. Well, there's some information going out there around, and I would agree with this. Okay, at least up to a point. Having not done ayahuasca, I can't say how that would affect my brain or spirit or whatever. But there are some, stories going on around that folks are saying, and Casey mentioned this, there are just spirits hanging out in the universe that have been sort of dismissed. Okay. The body's dead or whatever, but somehow they have just you know, haven't had enough consciousness or something. They're a poor old soul who's just wandering in the vastness of space. So if someone does ayahuasca or mushrooms or something that gets really high, and so one of these spirits says, "Oh, looky over there, somebody that's on one of my favorite drugs," kind of thing. I think, therefore, I am. I agree with that. I feel that I may know who, what, where, when, and why I am. Good. I mean that all the way. But what kind of power do you wish for? So people are wishing for this power when I just want to ask, okay, so what do you mean by power? I'm not saying you shouldn't look for it, try to achieve it. That ain't my point. But I think somebody, well, I want the power to do this thing, and they really ain't sat down and thought about it. That's my point. And so it's like, so what do you want to do with this power? And how do you think you're going to achieve it? That how? What, why, where? But you want this power. How are you going to go about it? And not only that, well, I'm going to take ayahuasca. A lot of folks just, or much, I'm going to take mushrooms. Well, how about if you just sit down and learn how to meditate? I mean, really meditate and get connected with the universe and the spirit of things and stuff, and and really seriously talk to a tree. And you say, well, so what's that going to do me? Well, that's going to give you the power, get this, of understanding. It's going to give you the power and the resource for awareness of just the stuff around you. And people say, well, what the fuck do I need that for, Hawkeye? Oh, excuse me. They just cussed without realizing. Put a penny in the jar. But what the hell do I want that for? Well, if you want other types of powers, you need to strengthen your power, get this, of awareness of just things around you. Nikola Tesla, guess what, was aware of all kinds of things around him. And in being aware of things around him, it gave him insight to other things without ayahuasca, I might add. So, why do you want this power? What kind of power do you want? And I'm not saying that you don't have a good idea. To ground yourself is to find your path. For without the path, the spirit flies free. The spirit flies free anyway, but I'll continue. And we must learn to walk before we can fly, lest we fly blindly away from our destiny. Yep, for true liberty, life like a tree. Remember your roots. but branch out and be free. I agree. Feelings are the resonance of the perception of frequency through the energy of the soul. That is deep, and most folks would not comprehend that. So I have talked about it in the past, and I've talked about how to do a meditation with a tree, and to how you literally become part of the tree after asking permission, I might add. Unless you're a bird, then flying needs to come first. Then flying need, unless you're a bird, then flying needs to come first. I'm confused. I'm a little stoned and I'm confused. Okay. And I've been up for a long time. It's been a very long day for me. But I welcome you also. But in this, before walking, I got you. Um, so in learning how to fly, because I learned astral projection without even knowing it as a kid at about 11 or 12 years old. And I've told this story before, but I was had a magic pillow and used to fly all over the place with the thing, and I just thought it was dreamland until my parents came home one night from bowling, and I was flying around the room and looking down at myself and everything, and they opened up the door to the bedroom and turned on the light, and I got scared as shit, and I went and hid up in the corner of the room. And so they looked in, and Bessie says, "Oh, look at David. Is he breathing? He's barely breathing over there. Maybe we should shake him and see if he's okay." And Pop says, "No, no, leave him alone. He's just sleeping." Well, actually, I personally was up in the corner of the room looking down, going, "Oh, holy crap!" So now I think this is a dream, right? And so they shut off the light, close the door, go to bed, and I pop back into myself. Now, I've never read a book on astral projection. I don't have a flippin' clue what just happened. The next morning at the breakfast table, Mom, Bessie was like, but me and your dad looked in on you last night, and you looked like you was dead, and we were going to wake you up. And I was like, oh my God, it really happened. It wasn't a dream. What is this thing that I just did? I'm hiding from folks. I think I'm dreaming, but when I got older and started reading about this stuff, I realized that I had been astral projecting for a while and using my magic pillow as the excuse to go off on all these dream journeys and go to these places and and then I almost got caught floating around my room by my parents, like, wait a minute. So that was the first time I realized that there was something wrong with me. I had the power to fly around with my magic pillow. Didn't know what I was doing, had not a clue, but there was this power. As long as and when I lost the pillow, I thought I lost the ability. But so I didn't even know that I possessed this power, is my point. What time is it? Yeah, I got a bowl sitting here ready to go. I'm ready for 20. Ooh, 2 minutes. So, and a good excuse. But so anyway, so my point is that I grew up with my magic pillow, astral projecting without knowing what I was doing. So I had realized at some point that I had this, and I'm going to use the word ability, but what it comes down to is that it's a power. It's the power to be able to astral project. Yeah, folks can learn how to do it, but it's still a power. You know what I mean? When you learn how to do something, if you learn how to take an engine apart and put it back together and it will run, that's a power, my friend. You have the power of the knowledge of being able to put a machine back together again and make it run you know well, that's a talent, yeah, but it's also a power. The ability to be able to do that, the ability to be able to understand the mechanics of being able to do that. And I have taken engines apart and put them back together and them run. Okay, so I understand it. But when you do something like that, there is a self assurance within you to go, I just built an engine and it runs. Holy crap. So you have achieved something, and it adds to your own personal power of who you are, because you can say, I can take an engine apart and put it back together and it will run. Do, 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 do. You know, what? So Buzz says, have you also had the waking up an inch from the ceiling and falling to your bed? Similar. Yeah, similar. Not quite the same way, but similar. Yeah. Um, for some reason, I've learned how to turn her over, where most folks just keep floating straight up. I get up so far and I turn over. So my back would hit the ceiling instead of my nose is sort of where I was headed with that Buzz. Oh, it's time, ain't it? Yeah, okay, thank you. Oh, and it's a new breed. Yum yum. I love new breeds. I love a new flavor. So well, I would say for those folks who are, pursuing anything along the shaman path, anything, wisdom, understanding, whatever, you have to have the power to like to sit still. And you go, wait a minute, what's that? What do you mean you have to have the power to sit still? Well, you have to learn, and when you learn to sit still and you learn how to communicate with the ground, and I mean really feel the ground and really feel the this and be able to watch an ant for 20 minutes and put yourself down onto the ant's level, and you've got your back to a tree and you're communicating with the leaves and the tree and the bark and when you really feel it. And some folks say, well, what am I supposed to feel? Well, you ain't there yet. Well, what do you mean? You have to absorb yourself with the tree. What? You have to become part of the tree. What? Yeah, it's a power. Really? Yeah. The power to be able to merge yourself with a tree. Wait a minute. What do you mean that's a power? Well, it is. Well, one might say that, it's a learned behavior. It is. You have to learn how to do it. But is it power? Well, if you don't know how to do it and you don't understand it, then you don't have the power of reasoning of to how it. Well, what do you mean the power to understand it? Well, knowledge is power, duh. So if you read a book about mechanics and then somebody gives you a motor, and it's up to you to interpret the book and how to tear this motor apart to make why I'm using motor, I don't know. But it's a mechanical ability. So the ability to merge yourself with a tree. Ooh, it's an ability. Well, but isn't an ability sort of like a power? If you have the ability to long jump 20 feet, that's one hell of a power. You've got power in your legs and in your body and your spring. And, you know, if you can do a high jump, if you run the 100 in so many seconds, whatever it is, you achieve these things. You say, yes, well, it's a talent. I would agree. But by learning this talent as a dancer, I'm thinking of my friend who's learning how to be a dancer and not necessarily a ballerina, but some. She's like, man, I just don't do the toe thing. I got it. But, the rest of dance is great. So you learn dance, but learning dance gives you confidence and the ability to twirl and to come back around and to work as a group if you were, like for me being on stage with shows and things and stuff, to be a dancer, you learn these things to work with others, and it's a group thing, and it's a mental thing, and you connect with the other dancers, and it's more than just you dancing. It's everybody dancing, right? If you're in a troupe. And so there's a power there. Well, what do you mean? Because the power is when all these dancers and the theater folks that I've been around and stuff, when everybody clicks and their minds and the things, and we have circles before we go on and pray and hope that everything works out. And but the energy between the people is a power, because that power shows forth in the performance that's done. And if it's a poor performance, then there wasn't much power there. There wasn't much energy. There wasn't much vibration. So you say, well, wait a minute, let's talk about vibrations. Well, vibrations is sort of a power, ain't it? I mean, electricity goes down the line, and it goes down the line like this. It's a frequency. It's a thing. It's well, wait a minute, but that's electricity. Yeah, but electricity is power. In Tesla, there's unseen power in the universe. That's why I'm always saying accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Because there's all kinds of stuff out there floating around. So one of the things, and I'm going back to the ayahuasca, one of the things that has been brought up by other people, and I have stopped and thought about and went, So they've been so high on this stuff that they seem to be talking to aliens. And they seem to be talking to beings from other places. Well, that happens. So one of the things that everybody is so popular with ayahuasca is, for some reason, you get to talk to aliens. Now, I want to caution folks this very simply, because I've been there, but it was mushrooms. Very potent mushrooms, I might add. Okay. I'm going to stress that they were very flippin' potent. All right. I would dare anybody to compare them with some other kind of hallucinogenic and then tell me you weren't messed up. you know, go ahead. I'm not taking ayahuasca, but go ahead, compare it. Well, these mushrooms, if you'd had what I had, you'd be going, yep, I spoke to God. All right. But here's the thing. So these people, a lot of them younger folk, right, especially younger than me, they're talking to aliens. Now, let me put this to you. I imagined seeing things, okay? But I was seeing things that were already in my mind, okay? So I'm seeing demons and I'm seeing this, and I'm like, well, how many thriller chiller movies that I watched back in the day with demons and the devil and Satan and all this other kind, Beelzebub? So I get high, and what happens? My brain starts seeing these things because I'm having an out of body experience while I'm still in my body. I'm still awake, but I'm slipping away. I'm being off I go on this journey, right? So my brain has already these images of stuff. So where I look somewhere and I go, oh my God, that looks like the devil. What? That's got horns on it. Oh, Jesus, the demons are going to carry me away and I'm so fucked up. I don't know. I don't know how to get out of the woods. Yeah, that has happened a time or two. But what I had to realize was I had the power, get this, while I was so messed up on mushrooms and sometimes acid, but I'm sticking with the mushroom thing. To control, because I'm like, wait a minute, I see this thing, holy Jesus, it's Beelzebub, he's got horns, and then I took control, because it takes a lot of power to do this when you're highly screwed up. The other side of your brain says, no, that's your imagination. Those are trees over there. You think it looks like Beelzebub or whatever. Hey, dead end, doing pretty good. And yourself? Have I missed anybody? Makes you wonder just how high did they get to meet me halfway. There you go, Scotty. Yeah, I have some shrooms that will summon Cthulhu. Who's Cthulhu? Who's to say that they don't need to get high to see us? That's sort of my point. But one of the things that the folks with the ayahuasca is that they have been reported that they, because of some of the other folks that have taken it and blah blah blah, that they're talking to aliens. So I want to bring up this point. I thought I was talking to a bunch of shit too, when it was stuff already in my brain that came out while I was really, really high. And it took literally years of understanding, wait a minute, that's literally my imagination. Okay. So these folks are talking to aliens. Maybe they are, but it just seems like the only way you can talk to them is with ayahuasca. That's just weird right there in and of itself. But okay, what about DMT? Okay, well, I've never taken that either, but I've been really high on some other. But, but to the point though, wait a minute. I think they're talking to aliens because they've already got alien on the brain. And I don't mean to make anybody pissed or anything like that. But if you've only taken a hallucinogenic once or twice or even three times or even five times, I was like in the 30, 40 kind of range of getting high. Okay. And I'm not bragging, it's just fact. So after 30 or 40 times of being really high on a hallucinogenic, you start, for me, because it was like, I want to use this hallucinogenic to feel in a higher plane, not dream up, oh my God, those in the dark over there, those trees off in the distance look like a dragon or blah blah blah, and I'm starting to freak out, and it's like, no, they're just trees. But you have to have the internal power, and I mean it's a power, to be able to see it when you're that messed up and bring yourself back and go, wait a minute, those are just trees over there. Oh my God, but they look like this, and your brain's going off, and then it's funky, and you think you're talking to it. But then, if once you learn, and it takes a lot of practice and power to go, sorry, those are just trees over there, Dave. Oh, yeah, okay, now it's back to having fun with the trip. Seriously. So there are people that go out to just have fun and see things and, hey, Katniss, how you doing? Steve, how are you? I think I said hi. And much love back at you. I always thought that you had no choice when you were taken on psychedelics. That's not true. It's just, if you allow yourself. Now, see, that's one of the things that I learned. If I was having a bad trip and I'm literally freaking out, I had like a safe word. And I would go, nope, nope, nope. You're tripping, dude. Oh my God, I'm tripping. I'm freaking out. But then there's that inner, the observer that have always talked about now. Haven't mentioned it recently, but the observer in you, that observer position says, wait a minute, dude, you're fucked up. Just hang on. Yeah, but I think the world's coming to an end and blah and all this, and the psychedelics will take you on that trip unless you bring it back. So over the many trips and over the many highs and I mean over 500, and I'm not bragging or lying. I tried to count it up one time, and it was at least 500 times that I have been that severely messed up. So, but you have to learn, and the only way you can learn is by being fucked up a lot. But I mean, it wasn't that it was later on I started to literally function around people while I was doing acid. Not necessarily mushrooms, but I did work around people on mushrooms. But, I did some of my best work on a grinding machine while had done a hit and a half of acid. you know, I ain't lying. I could talk to my machine. I could feel it. I could, and to this day, I miss that brown and sharp grinding machine because we connected, man, and I was good at it. But higher than hell, from within my thoughts, I hear, from within my energy grows, from within my heart it beats, from within my intention flows. That's good. From my life, I ponder within my wisdom. From within my love, it knows. From within my search, must I missed it. So when you are taken away to what feels like another dimension, it must be very hard to be aware of who you are. Not unless, see, when I started, there were times when I just took acid to get high. And then about the second or third time I took, because we were taking green barrows back in 1970, 71. Big old green barrels. They was good. But after you have had a couple of hits of acid, and we were buying 100 of them for $75. So we had a lot of acid, you know, 75 bucks and 100 hits. All I had to do was sell 75 of them at $1 a piece to reclaim my money. But I'd sell them for $2 or $3 a piece, sometimes $5, because some people just couldn't find acid back in them days. And so you'd make a killing and have 25 or 30 tabs yourself, after making your money back. So, you know, it was a good business too, and easy because you could put a bunch of them in a small area. But anyway, but after tripping a few times back in the 70s and really getting high and being around people who just were, brain dead, I was like, I don't want this. I am not a take a hit of acid and let's go party. I was already in the groove, and we dropped a hit of acid and went floating down the river, you know, a lot of times naked as Jaybird with other people, and we'd float for hours down the river, till we got out, kind of thing. And the connection with the God source of being tripping and being with nature was totally different than tripping and being at a party or whatever, right? So it's the situation with which you put yourself in. Okay. So you take control of your trip before you ever trip. You pick your destination. Where are you going physically? I mean, where are you going? Are you going to the woods? You're going to a party? What's your destination? Okay. Well, we're going to go floating down the river. Naked or not, doesn't matter, but we're going to go floating. We're going to go commune with nature. That's your mission. Hey, who is that? Thumb, Thamil? Thumb, Thumb. Hi, how are you? And it just went by. Hi, how are you? Greetings. But you take control of your trip before you ever go on it. You pick who you're going to be with, if you're going to be with anybody. You're going to choose if you're going to go outside, you're going to build a fire, and you're going to commune with nature. Then you're going to pick a spot ahead of time. You're not just going to drop it and then go, "Ooh, I need to go build a fire." No, no. You plan this stuff ahead of time. So by doing so, you've already taken control of the trip. Okay. So there's this other side that you choose. Okay, I've got a safe word. If it gets too bad, I'm going to think about pickles or something. All right. I miss that much more than what we feel, much more than we all show. We are much more each day. Something we grow, becoming more questions, much more we find our flow. Yep, I would agree with that. I've done a lot of things without being on drugs. I agree. I've been told that I disappeared in front of people that wasn't high either. I thought that I was just standing there wanting to be somewhere else. Yep, understood. Hawkeye pickles is a terrible safe word. I know I'm just being crazy and I've been up for a long time, but to to who whatever. The thing is, pick a thought, pick a place like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And you're high. It's like, when you're too drunk and you got to lay down, but you got to put a foot on the floor because the room is spinning, and you can't stop it from spinning, but you put your foot on the floor anyway. Ever been that high or that drunk? Well, that's sort of that's sort of what's going on here. So you pick a spot in your brain before you take it, and you go, when I get too high. Now, most people don't do this because they've never been high before. And, for me, it was like, holy crap. Every time I get high, I need a safe word or something, so that I could pull myself out, not necessarily out of it, but I could ride in the storm out. And that's what it amounted to. You found a place and where you might curl up into a fetal position. I was so high that first time I took that four-way hit of white sunshine, I was in a fetal position for almost a day, and it was like, no, I'm cool. Dave, you okay? Yeah. Well, you're all balled up. Yeah, I know, but I was safe, and that was it because I'd never taken acid that first time. And now I got a four-way hit of white sunshine, and I'm really tripping, and nobody knows the trouble I seen, you know, and nobody knows but Jesus. But anyway, but in that, I ended up, that being my first time of tripping, ended up in a ball just to be safe. So later on, having tripped differently and now I'm choosing where I go to trip versus going to a party or something. So when you take control from the beginning and then you work on that. So I'm going to the river. Well, if I'm floating down the river and the trees and the things and the trees start talking to you, and you go, well, that's not bad. They're not monsters. They're trees. It's sort of like I'm off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, and you're floating down the river and blah 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 blah. Blah. And and everything's groovy. And oh my God, you're on an inner tube and you're in the water, but you do, and the floating sensation, and it's almost like you're flying, you know and you don't want to close your eyes, but sometimes you just have to. And when you close your eyes and you're floating on the water and there's birds chirping in the water, lapping, and people giggling that are in this long stream of inner tubers, and so it's the experience, right? So then when I started using mushrooms per se, especially for learning to be more psychic, whatever the brain thing. I want to talk more to the spirits rather than just get high. But I'm going to get high with these mushrooms so I can talk to them. So I never thought about, honest to goodness, I never thought about that I was doing this to achieve a power. I was doing it to achieve enlightenment or to see things or to understand stuff because I was one of them freaky kids is like, why is there air? Why am I here? I mean, seriously, what the fuck am I doing here? What is my purpose? And, because I didn't seem to have a clue, you know. And I tried this, I did that, and I was good at a lot of stuff that I tried, but that just my ambition and just internal stuff, and I was always a minute late. No matter what I did, I was always late until I started working second shift, and then I was rarely late. But to the overall thing, but why am I here? What is my purpose? What is Oh, am I reincarnated? And there were so many things because I was adopted. There were so many things for me that I knew was wrong because they lied to me and my sister and my brother for years until after they died. They took some of the lies with them to their grave. And then we find out afterwards that we had another brother and that there was all these other things going on. And some of the reasons why I thought nobody loved me is because I'd been in 6 foster homes in less than 3 years. And, and there was all this turmoil. And before I was 3, wait a minute, that's a lot of trauma. How come I feel neglected and left out? Because before I was 3 years old, I'd been shuffled around so many times to strangers. And I wanted a hug from my mother, is what it boiled down to. So I had a severe case of separation anxiety that led all the way into my adulthood. So, but anyway, and therapy helped me to see that. But the feeling that you get. So I had these feelings. Why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. Why do I have these feelings? So I'm going to meditate tonight and I'm going to take a little cluster of mushrooms and I'm going down in the woods back there and do a fire. And I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to meditate. I might do a little bit of a drum or song or something. Or I always like to take bells. And then I find out later on that like that's a good thing. And so you want to attract the good spirits to you. Well, folks that may take ayahuasca might be so high in a way, they don't know what spirit can actually enter them. So I thought about this. So now they're warning about this now to people. Be careful if you take ayahuasca. You might be so high that a spirit will actually overtake you. Walk right in. Sit right down. Daddy, let your hair hang down. Do, walk right in. Anyway, um, so what do we want in this as far as the power thing? And do I have to get high to get it? And I did. I used it on my own before other people were even talking about some of this stuff. I mean, I had a black and white TV and could only get 2 channels. And so instead of trying to watch anything that was on that crummy black and white, I was down in the woods doing mushrooms, long before folks were talking about this. Now, I'm not bragging, it's just fact. You know, I'm that freaking old. I've been here for 40 years. I'm 70 for crying out loud, right? So, but with this understanding, so if you're going to trip, if you're going to do something like that, then DMT is something. YouTube channel is the dead end. What will happen if I do? I would highly not do it. I would not mix the 3 of them up. Okay, do one or the other, but do not mix them. Because especially if you've never done one or the other, to mix them is just stupid. To do a hit of acid and eat mushrooms is just redundant. It's just redundant because acid, because it's it's not a natural high, whereas mushrooms are. You'd be mixing natural with chemical, and it just wouldn't go. It would be bad on the psyche. I just with all the tripping I've done, I would not recommend that at all. And for example, I would not recommend drinking any alcohol like a day before you did anything like that. People are, well, what do you mean, Dave? Well, why can't I have a beer? Because it messes with your system. It gets in your system. And if you want a true, honest to God spiritual experience, then like the natives do, Native American folks that I know, before they would do a drum ceremony or whatever, they would fast for a day and no alcohol especially, they'd want their system cleaned before they drummed or before they did a ceremony. I know that all the ceremonies that I've ever performed, now some of them are sort of little quick and a little bit of drum, and I'm not necessarily have fasted that day. But if I'm going to do a major ceremony, and sure enough, it's hours long or whatever, then, and I'm going to plan on this, then I'm going to fast or at least that day. And I don't drink alcohol anymore, so that's not an issue. But if I did drink alcohol, I would not drink alcohol for at least, if I said, hey, if I woke up tomorrow morning and said, I think I'll have a ceremony tonight, okay, then I wouldn't drink for that day. All right. Well, I had a couple of beers yesterday, but no, sorry. But I'm not going to drink today until after the ceremony. Okay. So you try to clean yourself out. So for any of this that you might be doing with any kind of hallucinogen, if you're going to try to do some type of, I want to talk to the universe kind of thing, then you got to respect the rules. And the rules are that you go into this with a clear mind, and you go into this with intent. You don't just go in there half-assed. You plan it out, 5 grams. The late Terence McKenna. It sounds familiar, but not offhand, dead end. Katniss. Peyote. Cambo frog. I did do some peyote way back in the day. And OMG, I wish I could do it again. All right. I mean, I wish I could try peyote again because it was much different than mushrooms and it did not compare in any way with acid other than the fact that you got really, really high. Children's blood will give a high. 3, you offend. Third time you've offended. What's going on with the mushrooms of the past were not as strong as what we get now? Oh, I disagree wholeheartedly, Barry. The ones that grew beside the house that I lived in for almost 4 years, they were natural mushrooms. And even when I moved here, I could go because there was cow fields all around, and I could go and find a button that was this big around that would just for a whole, for 24 hours, you'd be messed up on that little button, you know, and talk about potency. I just don't believe it. Now, I know that there are people who's like, they showed me these mushrooms that grew out of cow patties, and they're really weak. They're not the same kind. They're not the true psilocybin mushroom with the little purple skirt around the stem. And there's certain, absolute characteristics that belong to these mushrooms. And people have brought me mushrooms before, and I go, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, we get high on these. And I'm like, that's because you're going to die on those mushrooms. I got a mushroom book and look them up and go, you got the wrong ones. Yeah, but it's got no, that's not a purple ring. It's a brown ring, dumbass. This is purple. Look at the picture in the book. Oh, but we get high off of them. Yeah, that's because they're poisonous, you dumbass. I've had too many conversations with young folks over the years, them trying to tell me what mushrooms I should be eating. And I'm going, no, those are all wrong. Oh, yes, we eat these all the time. So it's a good thing you're not dead. And then I show them my mushroom book. What? Yeah. The reason you're getting high is off the strychnine and shit. You're dying here. And that's why you're talking to God. you know, just saying. So, but I disagree. Now, that's what the true psilocybin mushroom that used to grow down here. Okay. Now, there are mushrooms up in the Northwest and over in California and stuff, totally different kind of mushroom. Okay. Totally different kind. Now, one might say that those mushrooms are the new mushrooms that are more potent. If you're talking to God, I'd say that it was potent enough. So, how high you are when you're high, and then you come off of the high and go, I was really high. Yeah, we were really high last night. Yeah, I mean, we were literally communicating without talking. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, we was really high. Yeah, but is it better than the high we had the other day with the peyote? Well, we was really high that time too. Yeah. Remember, and we had that. Yeah. And remember when we took that acid that time? Yeah. We was really high then. Remember? Yeah. So my point about this little really high business is, how do you gauge how high is really high when you're high? I know that sounds stupid, but I have, you know, oh my God, I had these realizations. I've been in the woods for several hours and didn't and just left my body, and I didn't know. It felt like 20 minutes, and it's been 4 or 5 hours, and the fires died down, and what happened, and you come back to some kind of reality after floating off somewhere or on tripping on whatever, right? So then after you wake up the next day and you go, wow, I was really high. But compared to what? you know, to the other highs that I've had, to the other acid, to the other mushrooms. And you say you were really high. And sometimes for me, it had to do with the length of time. So for 4 or 5 hours, I peaked on the mushrooms. I was really high for 4.5 hours. I took some mushrooms and got really high, but the peak was only 2.5 hours. Now I was still high afterwards, but it was a descending high, versus this other mushroom that was all by itself down in the grass, and I ate it, and it stayed 4.5 hours peaked, and its decline of potency was a lot slower grade, so I stayed high longer. So that's how I started gauging how high did I get. It was length of time, because it was the only thing that I could attribute it to. How long did I stay there, kind of thing. So having tripped literally 500 times ish in my lifetime, and I swear I am not bragging, because I used to eat 2 or 3 hits of acid a day. Okay. Buy a sheet of 100 for $100, $1 a piece for a hit of acid blotter. Used to keep them in my wallet, in my back pocket. And if I was feeling a little low and coming off my high, I'd go in the bathroom and tear a corner or a half of one of those blotters and put it on my mouth, finish my business on the commode, and then go back to work. And then 15 minutes later, just be buzzed as a mother while working on high-speed equipment for jet airplanes and things, because we made compressor blades that go in the fan sections. But anyway, so so if you're going to get high and you want to talk to God and you want this to be a spiritual experience, then you plan ahead. You plan on what you're going to do, who you're going to be around. And sometimes you don't know what you want until after you do it. And you go, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Or, you find out that you brought this bright ass spotlight when actually you should have brought a candle, or you should have, cut a little bit more firewood or something. And so that you could be comfortable longer and not have to get up and go get firewood, for example, you know, to bust your buzz, you put your firewood over here. And if it goes out, It's one thing to just reach over and grab a couple of pieces versus have to go through the woods looking for shit to keep your fire going. I mean, these are little things that sometimes you don't think of. Well, I'm gonna have a fire, but did you put enough wood there? All right. And did you plan on 4 or 5 hours of it burning and you're still being high? You're still going to need light. And if you turn on a great big bright spotlight, it's going to blind your eyes and your brain's going to go off and you're going to go, go screaming into the night. So be careful with what you do and how you plan to use some of these things. Use a little insight. And I would say, ask your spirit guide, look, I'm fixing to get fucked up here. I am fixing to get Jolly Roger fucked up. I'm going to take some acid or whatever it is I'm going to take, and I'm going to leave my body. These are my intentions now. So you start. I want the power of a safe word or of a thought that I can bring myself back to, like maybe it's like at one time I used lying in bed, because sometimes if I got too messed up I crawled back up in my bed and I was in my bed. I could put a foot on the floor to keep the bed from spinning and the room from doing, but I had my bed. So my bed, even if I was in the woods or someplace else, in my brain I would think of being in my bed. So if things are crazy and blah 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 and it's going nuts and everything, you close your eyes and go, I'm in my bed. I'm cool. I'm groovy. I'm in my bed. Blah 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 blah. Everything's going on around you. I'm in my bed. I'm in my bed. I'm in my bed. It's like a mantra. It's like a safe word. It's not really a safe word, but it is. It's a thought. It's when things get too wild and you feel yourself like, oh my God, I'm out of control. I don't know how to. That's when you take control of yourself, which takes a lot of power and practice, etc. But then you bring that power back to yourself and go, no, no, no. Whatever the craziness is going on, Dave, yeah, you're tripping. Yeah, I know. And I'm really fucked up. Yep, but you're tripping, Dave. Yeah, I know. No, you're tripping. Calm down. But everything's going crazy and all in. But you're tripping, Dave. Yeah, find your bed. Like for the dog, go find your place, go find your blankie. So you go find your blankie like Linus, and and you suck your thumb if you need to, because if it's that bad, then you might need to be sucking your thumb to, like, okay, I'm doing this thing. I'm in my bed. I'm good. I'm good. So you're in your safe place. So, but you plan this ahead of time. You know, So, what has this got to do with with power? It has a lot to do with it, because people seek these things in order to, what they determine before they do it is to achieve some kind of power. I mean, literally. I was doing it just to find out what was going on in the universe. What kind of shit can you show me? And that was sort of my theme. I'm going to go down with respect. I always gave respect to the entities, whether I knew there were entities around me or not. I just assumed they were. So I would, invite the entities around me. I thanked them. I thanked the spirits of the woods, or wherever I was at the time. I thanked the creator. I, thanked the universe. And then I got really high. So as I'm getting high, I'm doing the thanking with a fire. And, my intentions are to, okay, I'm here down in the woods as a humble servant. So, creator, show me what I need to know. I know there are things that I don't understand about this world. Show me. So, my intent with my mushroom trips were specific. Sometimes I had a thing, like, I want to know about this. Show me about this particular thing. Not the energy I want to start my day with. I missed it. Your comments are more troll like. It's good, guys. Respect one another places. Please. I'm not watching all of this and I don't understand, but yeah. And any disrespect we do not allow. You can talk about a lot of stuff, but we don't allow disrespect in here at all. We all get along most of the time. But you know, there have been a few over the many years, but so anyway, so you want to do ayahuasca or something, and you want to talk to God, and you want to understand things. Well, don't go at it half-assed. If you've never done it before, go with a coach. There's been people before. I've told them, I said, you want to learn about this stuff, okay, but don't do it by yourself. Have a coach. And depending on when you whatever, I'll go with you. I'll coach you. Doesn't mean I'm going to get high, but I'll go with you. And there have been many times with ceremonies for Native American boys who are going off on their first journeys and things. They always have a wise man or an elder go with them for their first time out, to help instruct them. And if they are seeing something that isn't really real and it's freaking them out, the elder can bring them back. That they're the grounded thing. But one of the things that I've learned with this long, all those years of doing some severe hallucinogenics, is that when it gets too weird, you just pull it back yourself. You got to find it within yourself, and it's the observer of us, in all of us. It's that observer that says, dude, you are messed up. I know, dude, man, I can't control it. And the observer, the camp counselor, if you will, says, I got you. Well, first you have to realize, certain things. Who is your camp counselor? Who is that person that within you that is the camp counselor for your brain? And what do you mean, Dave? Well, when your brain goes off half cocked, what brings you back from being crazy? The camp counselor, right? The observer in us, right? We observe that, we have said too much, bring us back, right? Or sometimes the camp counselor says, you ain't said enough, but it works both ways. But so the camp counselor is the common sense part of you, where no matter how crazy it gets and people around you, you can focus on the observer, the camp counselor, that sense of you that just says, wait a minute, hang on, chill out for a minute, blah, 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 look before you leave, you know, keep your mouth shut and think about it before you say something stupid. I mean, that's what the observer is, but it works when you're tripping. But you have to know ahead of time. I've got the observer looking out for me. My camp counselor's here. He knows what I'm fixing to do. And I'm fixing to get high, buddy. So, but you have spoken to yourself about this. It's sort of like a self hypnosis in a way. You have prepared your brain, even though you don't really know what's going to happen. You just know that you're going to get really high. But the other part of you is sort of like the designated driver. So the designated driver, you make up in your mind before you do this, and you go, I got this. I know you want to go tripping. I got this. If you get in trouble, just think of the bed and suck your thumb, and we got this if it gets too bad. But have a good time, you know. So, but anyway, now what's that got to do with power? Well, if you can learn how to do that when you're tripping your barangas off, that's a great power. What? We're still talking about power? Yes. Well, what are you going to do with that power? Well, later on in life, when you're not tripping, there have been times when it seems like reality is a trip and you're going, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. You can say, wait a minute, I feel like I'm out of control in a situation. I'm stressed out, I'm something, something. You can use that power within yourself because you controlled your your trip. And you go, this ain't a trip, but it's kind of trippy. I have the power to control this. Aha. If I can control my, bad trip and make it through that, I can control this shit. So you have learned a power because your brain was in such a state that you were able to pull yourself back and keep from losing your mind while you were tripping balls. And now here's a situation in real life where it's just crazy and out of hand and chaotic. And so now you should have learned the power to be able to go, wait a minute, I got this. If I can keep myself from going crazy because I got so, messed up on, an LSD or something, I got this, you know, that's a learned power. So, how did you get there? Well, but then you learn if you're paying attention, oh my God, that's one hell of a power. Because I took my crazy mind in a crazy state, and despite all of the highness, I was able to walk through it all and maintain my own core sanity. So when something else in life is chaotic and everything, you can go, hang on to yourself. Camp counselor is observing this. With all this chaos, you still have your core sanity, Dave. Remember that bad trip you had? Yeah. Remember how we were able to come back and keep from it getting worse? Yeah. That's power. That's learning, and but it's still power. And you're using the universe to help control it, you know, because you're drawing, because when you're really messed up, you got to draw on something. So you draw on the universe to, like, Lord Jesus, help me to get through this extreme high that I'm going through. It's a bad trip and I need to get through. Lord, help me, Jesus. And okay, there ain't nothing wrong, because there have been situation times when I thought Jesus was the only way to keep me from losing my brain. So, but that's the power of love, the power of concentration, power, 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 power. But what kind of power is it? What good does it do in the long run? Well, it helps you in life down along with chaotic times or stressful times if you're paying attention. If you pay attention to that higher self, and well, I'm going through something down and I feel so crazy. And some of my friends that were supposed to be so bright, oh God, I need a Valium. But I'm like, why don't you just calm your ass down? Oh, but I got to have a Valium, but it's there. I'm so stressful. Why don't you just sit down, shut up, and calm yourself? Oh, but I need a Valium, and I'm so stressed out, I might need to take two. You're never going to learn at that rate, because you're always going to depend on something. Oh, the stress is killing. The stress may be killing you, but relying on some kind of outside source, when you learn how to use your power, like I was talking last morning, about my heart and the fact that I've been controlling my breathing pattern for the last 50 years or so. And does fewer heartbeats per minute mean that my heart is stronger, even though I've abused it? Because mine heart beats at 60 per, and somebody else is beating at 80 per. So 60 to 80, that's 20 beats per minute more than, Joshua over here. He's got 80 beats per minute and he's coming along just fine. Mine's at 60. So for every minute that goes by, it's 20 more for him. So whose heart's going to wear out faster when you just consider beats per minute? So, but anyway, what's that got to do with power? That's the power of thought, the power to be able to reduce my breathing and keep my um, heart rate below 70. And since I've been doing my own, and thank you, Steve, for my machine, uh, when I take my blood pressure here, I'm always looking at that. What's my heart rate? It stays below 70 most of the time. Today was 70-ish and plus, but okay. But normally it's in 50s, 60s range, which is really slow for most other people, right? But it seems to be sort of a norm for me because I have consciously taken the power to realize my breathing and to slow my heart rate down. Well, I might be walking really fast and I'm breathing hard and I can feel my heart rate going up. And I go, okay. Yeah, and I'll take a hesitation breath and go, whatever I'm doing. And I'll consciously slow my heart rate down. So I've been doing this for at least 50 years. At least 50 years. So what does that mean? Well, that's power. When you can control your heart rate and calm yourself by yourself, that's power. So how do you attain it? You grab a hold of it, because you've already got it. Most people go looking for the power, and guess what? You already got it. You just don't know how to use it. But what kind of power is it? And that's the other thing. Oh, I wish I had the power to change my kid's life. Yeah, okay, that might be fancy. But what would you need for that? Not just saying you shouldn't like do something about it, right? Because there have been times when me and a friend or so, or I wanted to do Scrooge, for example, on stage. So I had to present it, I had to do all these things. And I realized that in doing so, this was my dream that I wanted to perform Scrooge on stage. And we did 2 years in a row. But in order to do it, I had to do a lot of work. I had to rewrite, I had to do all these things. We had costumings and, we had, 32 different set changes, and they were really quick set changes. We had to integrate all of these things. So I realized I had the power to do it. I could build the sets, I had the power to direct it. I had the power, the resources and the experience to do this. I had the power to set the lights. I had the power to do sound effects. I mean, because I had learned all these things over the many years. So I had attained, and I'm using the power, it's a talent. I had attained all these talents, but by using the talents, you show the power that you have. I have the power to set these lights correctly, and it's going to make it look good. I have the power to do sound effects for a show. So, and if I do them correctly, it's really going to, make the show kick, especially when the sound effects are on time and stuff. And so, so you say, well, wait a minute, I've got all these powers. What? They're talents, but they're related. So I had to use my own personal power, my own personal will to go talk to these people, to get enough people to do the show, to gather it, and be able to work with all these people and all these different things and so forth, and all the rehearsals and everything to put it together. And we did it. Okay. And then we did it the second year, but we had learned the first year, and most of my cast came back the second year. But my point is that it started out as a thought. It started out as a personal wish of mine to do Scrooge on stage and hope that it was, acceptable. We did so well, we did 2 years in a row. So that was proof in the pudding of we did a good job. So didn't get paid for it, but from my standpoint, it proved to me the power that I had within me. I had to have the willpower to go talk to folks. I had to have the willpower to make concessions with people. Well, I want it this way, I demanded. And they were like, well, okay. So then I had to learn how to be more diplomatic and tell people, this is what I'd really like to see. What do you think? Well, I don't know if I can. Well, how can you be in this scene or do what I'd like? How can we make this work and you feel comfortable? Well, what about this? Okay, well, I'll tell you. Let's try a couple of versions and see which works the best, which was a couple of the scenes that we just had to do that, where the ghost had to come in and different stuff like that. So, so I had to learn to not be demanding, but I had to be demanding in that we need to make this work. But how we make it work was different. Now, that's the power of concession. What? Sometimes you have to concede that, wait a minute, I want this done this way. But then as you try it and start to go through it, you realize that it's not going to work that way. As you practice it, as you try it, the lighting's wrong. But my vision of this thing, this ghost doing this spooky thingy at this particular time, how I thought it would work didn't work. So you have to be able to make concessions, and that's a power. So you take power over yourself and you go, well, God dang it, I wanted it to be like this. Well, it ain't going to work that way. Well, I'm going to make it work this way. No, it ain't going to work that way. But I'm going to make it. This is how I had it in my head. This is some of these directors. So for me, with all these different scene changes, I had to make concessions and go, I'd really like for it to be like this, but the way we've got it right now is close enough for me. It works. If we can get this every time, it's not exactly what I wanted, but it works. So you have to take what you already know and come off your high horse and go, wait a minute, sometimes I need to make a concession here. And the concession is within my own self. I thought it would be like this, and it just ain't. So you need to just go, okay, and the power of this self realization, this is all power, I'm telling you. So the power of understanding and go, wait a minute, you have to recognize it was really good idea. And I realized that I'm late. Oh, holy crap. I'm just yapping away. Okay, I'm ready. I never finished this one. And I packed it. So there are so many levels of what do you mean by power? So for folks who are out there trying to attain these supernatural powers, why? Well, I want to attain money. Well, then get a fucking job. Well, and I want to bring, love into my heart. And you're doing all the light and candle. Look, I tried some of this shit too. I'm not putting these folks down. But while you're wasting time with that, why don't you just go to a dance or go to some place and, not necessarily a bar, but, I used to go to a bar and just drink Sprite or Mellow Yellow or Mountain Dew or something, and sit and I didn't think I could do it. But getting a little stoned helps. But so I can go to a bar and watch other people get drunk, and not get drunk myself, and still have a good time, and realize that at last call, that woman over there in the corner looked really good. But now that I'm not drunk and I see that woman over in the corner, nope. There ain't no last call. Uh, Never mind. Guys probably understand a little bit, but nope. Sorry, nope, no. But so anyway, so with this learning of higher powers and learning of what's out in the universe, you learn to discern things, like the Hadron Collider. You start paying attention to some things because your powers of awareness have awakened. And you're using your own observer point of view in the camp counselor with your own mind. It can go off and think about all these things, but there's that thought in that core thing in your head that says, yeah, think about that vacation, but you ain't got enough money. Yeah, but we're going to look through this brochure anyway. So there's the practical side of you that's going, we ain't never going to be able to take this Bahama cruise, but it sure is fun to look through the page. That's the two sides. That's the side that wants to go look and see the pictures, and there's something wrong with dreaming. And then there's the practical side that says, nah, you got a mortgage, you got 3 kids, and you're going to have to wait a while before you can go. Not to say you won't never go on it, but you ain't going to go on it right now. So now that might be somebody's goal. They want the power, okay, to attain a Bahama vacation. Okay, there ain't nothing wrong with that, really. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to put your head together and think, well, do we make enough money? Well, no, between us, we don't make enough money to scratch our ass. Okay, so then if you really want to go on this vacation, then you got to think of something else because our current status with so it's the power of deduction. It's how bad do you want this? So you say, okay, we're going to take an extra job on the weekends washing cars. And I say rain or shine, but we're going to be there every weekend. We got this deal. And so we're going to work as a family, and all the money that we make is going to go towards our vacation. Now, we as a family have done this, that if you really want to do this, then for the next year, like when we worked on the carnivals, we saved our spare change. Or when we worked on the ride, we saved the shake money. So any money that came off of the ride while the ride was going and change or whatever, we put it up and we saved it up. And then we all collected our money together and went on a vacation. And it worked out great. But see, you have to plan it. So you say, well, I want the power to be able to manifest this thing. Well, it might take a year of manifesting. Love is never toxic. Having been in a couple of marriages, the last marriage, now I thought I loved, but now it's the other side. But that love was toxic because she was poisoning me. So true love is toxic to the two people involved in that they become chemically intertwined. So toxic in the way that the two people in love are intoxicated versus toxic in that it's the toxic avenger chemical, you're going to turn into a monster kind of thing. I I have love for everyone, yet I don't love everyone. But I am not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Imagine all the people. I have love for people, and there are people that I have become. I have come to love because I open my heart, because I have a love for all. I have met folks that I have that I have a true love for. So that's an interesting statement in that if you like Scotty, you folks in here, I can say because we've had, these intercourse conversations kind of thing, we've had these wonderful discourse. That's what I wanted, not intercourse. Mental intercourse maybe with this, but um, the fact that we've had discord and conversations, and one of these days I'm going to figure out Rumble, and we're gonna be able, you guys, and maybe just call into the house and do a call in, which I can do. If you want to call and have conversation about this, I'll give you my home number, kind of thing, right now if you want to. But maybe it's best to plan that for another day. But to the point, though, I'm open for it. But anyway, so this idea of power, and I can tell you, say, well, listen, I can say, hey, let's do a call-in show right now. Somebody call me, right? Give you my phone number, and I can say, because I have the power to do that. It's my house, it's my phone, it's my situation, so I have that power to do that. I can manifest that. Hey, you want to call in? Let's chat. Here, call my house, right? I've got the phone right here. I'll put it by the speaker thing, and we'll have conversation. So, and you can participate. So, but that's a power. I have the power. But folks, what do you mean? Well, if you take your kids to school, on time, and they attend school and everything's as normal as possible under the circumstances, right? Kids getting C's, but he's still doing okay. And they're not picking any fights at school, and they're not been murdered or nothing, and you getting to work back and forth, and you like your job pretty good, and you're making decent money, and you're surviving. Okay, things aren't the greatest, but they ain't the worstest. So your things are humming along. And so you say, well, I'm just not satisfied with this shit. Well, so you got the power to change it. And you go, what do you mean, Dave? Well, how do you want to plan yourself to get out of it? So you have to make a plan. So you have to go within yourself and have the conversation. How am I going to do this? So before you achieve any kind of power, you have to realize that you already have it. It's how you use the power. So I've got the power to create these things. Was talking with a friend of mine today, and he goes, yeah, some of these carpenters are making $50 an hour. And I'm like, what? Fuck, I need to get my back working again. If I could work 5 or 6 hours a day and make $50 an hour as a framing carpenter, which I am qualified and used to have my contract. They're make Some of these guys are making $75 to $100 an hour as carpenters, and do it. I'm like, put me on a. I thought $15 was decent. I can work for you all are building a house or something for a few days. You need an extra carpenter to help frame it, and you're going to pay me off the books $50 an hour. I'll take a handful of pain pills. Let's go to work. I don't care how damn old I am. I'll work through it. $50 an hour. And if you prove yourself, you might get more than that. Son of a bitch, $80 an hour. I can't even imagine. I would be happy with $80 a day, but $80 an hour, and you work 10 hours, that's $800. That's, you know, 2/3 of what that I make in from my Social Security in a month. So God Almighty, I might go back to work as a carpenter at 71 because it's my birthday's coming up. But anyway, so but see, there's the power in that. Do if somebody said, yeah, well, we've got little jobs and 2 or 3 days a week we need somebody to come in and help, but they need to know what they're doing, and we can give you 25, 30 bucks an hour, and if you prove yourself and bring your own tools, we can double that. I got the tools, damn it. I got uh, um, um, air compressors and extensions, and and nail guns of all different sizes for heavy duty framing to tiny little brad nailing thingies for doing trim, and have done trim, have done all these things, have run wires, so and they're paying some of these guys 50 to $100 an hour. I might go back to work, under the table too. Oh hell yeah. So anyway, but in that though, it takes planning. So do I have the power? So I got to look inside myself and say, do you really? I got the knowledge, I got the know-how. So I'm way ahead of the line in that. I got a lot of experience, but can I actually physically do it? I don't know. We'll see. But it's something good to like at least think about, because there are several contractors that I know, and they always need a little extra help once in a while. And you're telling me I can make $100 and a couple $100 in a few hours? I'll put up with the pain, you know. I'll get myself ready to, and but because I feel like that if I really want it bad enough, hear me out, then I have the power to do so. Now, at the same time, I have to have the discernment to go, but maybe you really shouldn't. Your back's getting better, but maybe you should, maybe another couple months down the line. Maybe this is but I want to manifest this now. I could really use a little extra money right now. I want to fix my truck and blah, 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 blah. Want to get my car back on the road, and it takes money, and I'm on limited income and blah, blah, blah. So I could really use it. Well, yeah, 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 but I have the power to work through this, but I got to do it in the right steps. So people want to manifest something like tomorrow. And I want to say, listen, dumbass, you might be able to manifest it, but it might take you a year of savings, like we used to do on the carnival, save our change. And so when the end of the season came, we had all saved up enough money between us to go on a grand vacation for a couple of weeks with all things, and have a good time and everything be paid for. I mean, really have a nice vacation, not just squeak by, have a little money in your pocket to buy souvenirs and stuff, and still have, anyway. So, but manifesting it, some of these people are just impatient as hell these days. And that's because everything is so, instantaneous. And so people need to learn how to back off of stuff. I can get this, but maybe if I don't can't get credit or I don't make enough money, what I need to do is figure out another way. There's something else out there. I don't know what it is right now, but I know that right now, if I want to do this extra thing, I'm gonna have to think about. I'm gonna have to think about it. I can do this and this and this and this, and I'm going to put forth these ideas to the universe and see if anything comes back. And all of a sudden, somebody says, I heard that, there's somebody, she's looking for somebody to redo a piece of furniture. Dave, haven't you refinished furniture before? Yeah. Well, give this lady a call. And this has happened to me before. So you give the lady a call and come to find out she's fairly rich, and she'll pay you $500 to do this thingy on this piece of furniture and blah, blah, blah. And you go, wow, I didn't know I was going to be able to make $500 because it's all work. You know, you buy a little stripper, this and that, but basically that $500 is work that you got to do to strip it down and do all of the things and blah 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 and put it back and then redeliver it and all that. So that's the $500 and the week's worth of work it's going to take to strip it down and do what it needs to be done correctly. So, but at the time, there was no money, there was no job, there was nothing. And then the phone rang. There was $500 that just sort of popped out of nowhere. Now, I've had similar things happen over the years, less these last few years that I've been retired, because I haven't gotten around and met and made myself available to people for jobs and things like I used to. So, but my point is that if I wanted to, and if I had the power and the energy and so forth, I could make myself known again that I'm doing carpentry work or I'm doing fix up work. I can do plumbing repairs. I can do minor electrical repairs. I could actually do major, but anyway, so if I put myself back out there and went back to work and did a couple of little jobs around Moultrie or Thomasville, I'm sure that somebody, because it's always happened before, somebody would refer me. So now that's how I could get whatever it is that I wanted to get because I'm on limited income. I have to work harder for it. In order to manifest that which I want, I have to work for it. Or at least buy a couple of lottery tickets and hope that, that I make it big, but my chances of working for it, and getting the money in hand or something, doing something, that then I can manifest that which what I want. Now, some people, I've seen some folks that are just lucky. Some folks are just rich enough. They just save a little bit here or do a little that or blah, blah, blah. And they can go on a vacation or they can go and do with this. Okay, well, if you've got the money, go ahead. But if you don't, like I have grown up poor most of my life, you had to save for it. You had to do something extra for it. Didn't mean you couldn't do it. It just meant that you had to give up something like, you know, quit buying a case of beer a day, which is what I used to do. Only buy a six pack, and don't do this or change your habit. You know, um, you don't smoke 3 packs of cigarettes. You save money by only smoking 2 packs of cigarettes. And at $5 a pack, that's 5, 10, 15, 20. That adds up really quick. So even at 1 pack or 2 packs or whatever it is, but so you make some kind of concession. So you say, well, what's that got to do with power? It's because you have the power to say, well, I usually go out to eat every day and it only costs $4 or $5. But if I make my lunch of whatever sandwiches I like with some lunch meat and something, pick something I like, but it only costs me $2. So, and it's going to save me driving and whatever. So I can save a little money over the next few months at 3, 6, 9. So for in a week's time, 5 days, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So $15 is saved because you made your own lunch. Or it might be more right now, it's more than that. But to the point back then, that's about what it was. So, but saving that $15 was a lot of money also back then when gas was still 75 cents a gallon kind of thing. So, but to the point though, so for me, what I've learned in these last few years, if I want something, which I have recently finished paying off for this bass boat thingy I bought, um, I have saved the money up to pay for it and to help my friend, out because he needed to sell it, needed money. They had bad tires and blah blah blah. And it came in. Do I really need the bass boat? No. Is it? Am I going to have to spend extra money? Yeah, but it's a project, and me and Duggar can get in it. I've already got my trolling motor hooked up to it, kind of thing, and I'm really ready to go put it in the river. So and it's safe and it's legal, and I can actually have a motor on it, which is my other my canoe, when I put, as soon as I put the trolling motor on it, it's against the law because it's not registered. But anyway, so, but to the point, so, but in order to have this though, I have the power to get her done, to get her done, right? I have the power, but I have to exert myself in some way to do it. I had to go put the sticker on the boat, for example. But I had the sticker, but I had to have the power to walk out there and put it on to make the boat legal. And there, so there are these things. You have the power, but do you have the willpower? That's a different one. Do I have the gumption to follow through on this? Am I going to be able to give up doing something so I can save this money and actually save it, not go spend it on something else, because I want to do this thing, or I want to buy this thing, or I want to, like for me, I want to fix my truck. So if I got, I'm limited income, but if I save a little bit here and here and here, and so what I did was I bought these parts on the 4th of July, and I got a 15% savings on each part. So that's sort of 30% in the long run, but not really. But to the point though, if I'd gone in the store and bought it, it would have cost me more money. I saved about 40 something dollars by ordering it online and using the 4th of July special thing. So they're always doing specials. So I have the power to save money. How? By finding ways to use a coupon, finding ways to like get 15% off because there's a special, you know? So we have to use the power of our brains to look at the situation, to observe what's going on, to be aware of our surroundings. So what other power do you need? You've already got it, but you got to know how to use it. So there are folks running around out there looking for the power of the brain when they've already got it. Really, it's the power of the universe. And when you learn how to be the Rumsk, hey, how are you? Yes, Austria, the second banana state, or the third or the fourth. I mean, who's counting, right? Banana Republic it is, right? Yeah, nice you had a safe trip. I don't know, about 8 miles away. She not my blood sister, but I claim her. Yeah, understood. How you been, the Romsky? Some flu hit me. Oh, golly. I don't usually recommend stuff, but if you get the Theraflu type stuff that you mix with hot water, I always add a little bit of extra lemon juice and some honey and drink that puppy down. Theraflu. Yep. Yeah, but get over it. You have to stay hydrated too when you get that way, by the way. So there are folks out there that want to talk to the divine for intervention and do these things so that they can gain certain powers. And I'm like, what are you going to do with them? What I'm being honest and serious, and I'm not trying to be a snot nose asshole, but it probably will sound that way. What the fuck do you want with these supernatural powers? What do you think you're going to do with them? Where are you going to go? How? What are you going to do? Seriously, why don't you just ask the universe if you go off on one of these ayahuasca or trips? Ask the universe, show me my path, show me what I can do better, explain to me, show me, some of the old stories. How did I get here? What is my history? For example, there was one of the times that I went a tripping, and it was all about, I think I'm reincarnated. If so, show me about it, and what's the story and how, so off I went and did my meditation, watching the fire, and buddy, let me tell you. And I woke up the next day and I went, oh my God, that explains so much. Because I have been here on this property before. I have come back this time around to fix shit that I fucked up years before, where the old roadbed is and comes down, that is no longer used, but it is the original roadbed for Zion Grove Church Road. I own portions of it. From the top of the driveway where the curve starts up here, if you go straight down into the woods, me and my neighbor, our neighbors, we own the original roadbed of Zion Grove Church Road. It's still there with the ditches and everything. Trees are growing up in them, but the old roadbed is still there. But anyway, so somehow I lived down on this property somehow beside the old roadbed. And so by doing my little trippy thingy, especially here on this property, I was shown, you, Hawkeye Dave, you are one son of a bitch. You mistreated your wife. You drank moonshine and beat her up. You slept. It wasn't your kid, but she had a kid, and she was a squaw, half Cherokee, half something. And back when they did the death march with the Indians, like Trail of Tears, that somehow, that back then, I was like, well, I'll take you in. My wife might have died or whatever, but maybe I didn't have a wife, but that she had a child. So I took her and her child in, and I was a real bastard to the child, and that I was just not a very good person at all. Hey, Diane, how you doing? And Diane hugs right back at you, sweetie. I mean it. Um, so that in the previous life, back in the 18 somethings, and there for me, there's been just some synchronicities that just like, for walking around the property, I knew there were certain places on the property, for example, and the how I found this property and the guy that owned the farm and how I paid. The whole thing was like, you talk about luck for me to get this place with the river in the backyard, and it worked out. It was meant to be for me to be back here this time around, because I was such a son of a bitch in a previous life here. So there are spirits who are still roaming these woods, who are still pissed at me from what I did before. So I have spent my last quite a few years trying to not necessarily placate the spirits, but I had conversation with another medium kind of person, and because they could really literally talk to these folks one to one, and I was just hoping I was getting through. And so I kept telling them, I say, listen, I want to prove to you that this time around, I am a different person. My spirit is different. I have dealt with anger issues. I don't beat up little children. I don't, I have made my mistakes in life, but nothing compared to what I did in previous life. So that's what I learned on my own trips. So now that doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but in my case, that's how it worked out. So, which explained a lot about my personality and why I felt about certain things. And when I was 3 years old, I was telling people, what are you going to be when you grow up, David? I'm going to grow up and be a hermit and live in the woods on a river. And like my grandma, my aunt, the last time I talked to her, she said, I can't believe that when you were 3 and 4, you told us all what you were going to be. And you've been on your property now for 40 years, and I'm proud of you. You know, you stuck with it, your land's paid for, and now that you're retired, you've got a place and blah, blah, blah. But when you was 3 and 4 years old, you told us all, I'm going to be a hermit and live on a river in the woods. And here I am. And so there's synchronicities and things. So I knew when I was a child that things were going to work out this way. And there were lots of times when it almost didn't go this way. I almost lost the property twice. And I mean, they were going to sell it on the courthouse square kind of thing. Um, and folks stepped in and helped me out, and God bless them too. So, but the power to overcome any um, um, adversary or adversity, that's what the word I'm looking for, because over these last 40 years, there's been some trials and tribulations in keeping the property. Right now, the grass is like up to here, because I can't afford at the moment, I can't afford a lawnmower because it costs a god dog much. Although there's an auction going on down the street here towards the end of the month, and there's 3 old lawnmowers sitting up there. One's a John Deere, and they got an old Massey Ferguson tractor, and they got a couple of 4-wheelers and some equipment. And Rob and I and the neighbor are going to go down there and see what we might bid on and what we might be able to get. So I might be able to pick up a 4-wheeler. I don't know if it runs or not, but to be able to get a frame and everything, I'll figure I can. I have rebuilt motors, so but to have the frame of a nice 4-wheeler, motor shop. Okay, don't care how much you want. $50. Okay, sold. I'll drag that puppy home and rebuild the engine. Because I need a 4-wheeler now as I get older, and I have needed a 4-wheeler to go back and forth to the river. But here's the thing. So here is a situation like the power. Now, I haven't had the resources. I haven't bitched about it, but I haven't had the resources to get a 4-wheeler or be able to afford a decent lawnmower. And I need one. And so Rob says, look, I got one, but I don't have the time to ride on it. And he said, but I'll drop it off. And I said, drop that bitch off. I'll mow. I'm capable of mowing, And it's one of them, zero turn kind of things. I'd have a ball. So no, bring it over. I'll buy the gas and everything. Just let me borrow it. Yeah, okay, dope. Oh, and by the way, 2 deer walked up the driveway. We're looking out the window today, so it's a doe and its fawn. And so we have been noticing it coming down the hill, but today they were going up. But anyway, so the deer in the yard. It'd be nice to mow up there where they're going and everything, and put the deer cam up and put some corn out and feed these deer and keep them in the neighborhood. I mean, they're already walking up and through the yard. Duggar like to bust the window trying to bark at them. But anyway, so the power to understand, right? The power to be able to withdraw yourself enough and go, maybe I should keep my big mouth shut about something, or maybe I should speak up about something. Maybe when I speak out about something, I need to use some tact and diplomacy when I speak. So you say, well, wait a minute, well, the power to understand when to say something or when not to say something, or how to say something, or how to react to a certain person. Oh, my bird just died and I'm all tore up. Well, I'm really fucking sorry you lost your bird. Did you eat it? No, that's the wrong response, right? So, but to the point though, so wait a minute. So you have the power to be able to make choices. And it's a very distinct power to make choices to say, wait a minute, I choose to use these words, or I'm going to use these words and not give a fuck and piss somebody off. Well, you lost a dead bird. So big deal. Did you make a fricassee? What are you crying over a dead bird for? There are people that do that, right? So you might be thinking in your head, it was only a parakeet, but my granny was attached to her parakeets, and I remember how much she cried when she lost Petey. Well, she had 4 or 5 birds, and they were all named Petey, but we won't go there. But the one time where she had this bird, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years, and when Petey died, we all cried because he'd get out and fly around the room, and he'd land on us and stuff, hey, Petey. And so, but when Petey died, we all lost something there. So nobody picked on Granny because she was crying over a dead bird, because if you knew Petey, then you would have felt bad too. But there are some folks who just, they don't have the power of discernment. They just, well, it's just a dead bird, so go get another one, but it wouldn't be like Petey, and it might look like Petey and have the same colorings and all, but, Petey was Petey, and that's the way it was. But anyway, so, but if you don't understand somebody else's situation, so that's the other part of the power that you attain. You attain the power to be able to read someone else and go, that person over there is not in a very good mood today. I shouldn't go messing with them. Now, I might go over and offer them a little side hug, pat on the shoulder if we're, close enough to be able to do that. Maybe tell us something, a little joke or something, maybe get them to laugh, but not nothing crass or anything, but just some little giggle, hee, hey, and go over and smile with them and maybe try to lift their day just a little bit. Just start them out with a little bit, because then if you get them to smile and they start to lighten up a little bit, then you can go add a little bit more to that little bit that you started with. See, you don't want to go too much too quick. So, but wait, what are you talking about, Hawkeye? All of this is power. You have the power to choose your words, to choose how you say them. You have the power to choose in what uh, climate or situation. And so you have the power to change the world by how you react with the world or interact with the world or don't act or interact with the world. But the big thing is it requires knowledge, it requires practice, it requires the power of using the universe to help you to learn these things. We have the power already. But if you use these things to open up your mind, it opens up different chapters and areas. I will use the word chapter because it opens us up a certain chapter in the book. Well, because your brain has a story. Your brain is getting information from the universe that's your universal story. Okay. So in this story, in this chapter of information that is your power, well, I learned about the air conditioner in my truck today, and that was in chapter 7. So in your brain during one of your trips or whatever, you have opened up a chapter in your brain, and when you come back out of it, you go, I now somehow have an awareness of how to work on air conditioners in my truck. you know that's the analogy I'm using, but whatever it is, you go, wow, I somehow finally understand, you know, how to communicate with a tree. I really somehow had this nature moment that before I thought I understood, now because I was thinking about it and asking, am I doing the tree meditation right? The answer from the universe came back and said, almost. And I went, what? You've almost got it, Dave. Hawkeye, you've almost got this. What you're missing is that you're afraid that you're doing it wrong. So your fear of doing it wrong with the tree is what's wrong with why you're not doing it right. What the fuck are you talking about? Wait a minute. Hang on. Say that again. So because I was afraid I wasn't doing the meditation right, my fear of not doing it right caused me to not do it right because I was afraid I wasn't doing it right. So the fear of it. So what I had to do was just forget about it and just do it and allow myself to meld. So I kept thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Wait a minute, maybe I should be doing something. And the tree was telling me, would you shut the fuck up and just go at it, dude? I'm like, well, I don't know. Am I holding still? Am I talking to the tree right? Am I uncomfortable? Would you shut up? That's what's wrong. Oh, so that's the power of understanding. That's the power of allowing yourself to go, wait a minute, let's ask the universe about this and then paying attention. So when the universe said, dude, what you're doing wrong is the fact that you've got this bit of fear in there. And I've talked about fear, it's been a while because I'm pretty much, have gotten rid of most fear in my life compared to what I was afraid of before. So much improved. But so you have to have the power to change your mind. You have to have the power to say, look, I'm not going to be afraid of this anymore. I have the power to overcome this. It might take me a while. I'm 4 months in from my second operation, right? Most of I had two operations within a week. It was only supposed to be one. And so, but I am recovering. I am getting better, but it is slow. But at the same time, two major operations just 4 months ago, I'm not doing too bad. I did water therapy today. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because, I was starting to give in to, oh my God, I'm never going to get well. I'm going to have this pain. I'm going to be living with this son of a bitch, and then, a couple of weeks ago, I said, no, we can't do this. No, got to start therapy. No, God's changed the whole thought about this. My back is probably going to be sore because I'm probably going to do stuff like weed eat and dig and plant trees and stuff. My back's probably going to hurt just because I'm just doing normal stuff, you know? So get over this thing and let's learn how to walk again. So I've got the power to walk. I've been getting around the house and doing certain things, not very much because I'm afraid because it hurts. So, I'm realizing that I have the power, but I have the power to have to go more than what I think I should go. I've got to put more into it myself. You want to get better, Dave? Yeah. Then do your exercises. Yeah, well, I did them once a day. Yeah, but you're supposed to do them twice a day. Well, I did them this morning. Yeah, but you didn't do them this afternoon. Yeah, well, my back hurts and I'm really not in the mood, but then you didn't do them. So I'm not following the instructions that I should do. That's within my own power, you see. So now I'm more committed to now that I got the boat, now that I can put a motor on it and all these other things, and I really want to go fishing. I have to get better you know. Me and Duggar, I had to drag him out of the front seat of the truck today. He thought we were going to go for a ride. And I'm like, no, I just had to get stuff out of the truck. He got in, he would not get out. He got mad at me. I had to drag him physically out of the truck. I was like, what's wrong? He really needs to go for a drive. But anyway, so, but, so in life, we have to look at our situations. And there are people who talk about manifesting stuff all the time. And I just, my brain goes sort of brain dead. You, what, you know, well, I want to create I'm going to manifest this something, something. And to me, it seems mystical, them using the word to manifest. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to save up some money and I'm going to do, or I'm going to make some things and sell them, or I'm going to do things and give some stuff away. Whatever it is. Okay. Not picking on anybody. If anybody's like, wait, he's talking about me. No, I'm not. But I am talking about the power to be able to say, well, wait a minute, should I be using it? In my opinion, okay, stoned and tired as I am, the people use the word manifest way too much. I'm going to create something. Okie dokie, they're going to manifest something. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to create a new something. I'm going to create a new chapter in my life. I'm going to manifest something. I'm going to do it use another word, because every time I turn around, they're manifesting something. And it literally just gives me the wrong feeling somehow that they're, I think they're misusing the word, and they're overusing the word manifest. And they use it all the time. Well, I'm going to manifest this, and in my life, I can manifest all these things. And you know the freaking word. In my life, I can create anything I wish. Well, does that mean you can manifest it? Well, sort of. So why don't you say create? Why don't you use the word create instead of manifest? I'm going to create a better, house at the house. I'm going to manifest a new house. I'm going to manifest. Okay, that's my thing on that. 211, 311 here. We'll go to the 20, and that'll be 2 hours and something. And I'm really tired. But anyway, so people want to manifest stuff, and it's like, are you using the word? I just asking. And are you using it in the right context in this situation? Maybe you should use the word create or action or something else. No, I'm manifesting it. Okay. All right. I'm back off and leave you to it. But I'm manifesting. Okay. All right. And I can see it dripping out your butt. But but see, I'm manifesting. Okie dokie. I'm going to leave you alone there. If you need a pill, I've got some stool softener over there. But I'm manifesting. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Am I being a butthole? But there are other words in the English language, and I think these folks should learn them. Broaden your vocabulary, because the word manifest in the circumstances that people are using them may be inappropriate. I do feel it's inappropriate. And but you still want to manifest a good lifestyle or whatever, no problem. So you want to manifest it, and how you going to do that? Well, by manifesting. Okay, no. How you going to manifest what you want? By manifesting. What do you mean? Well, to manifest what I want, I'm going to have to manifest other things. So I'm going to be manifesting the whole time in order to achieve what I wish to manifest. Pay attention to that one now, because that's how people are kind of sort of thinking about this. Like, wait a minute. Well, I'm going to manifest on the room on the side of my house, which is still going on 4 years now. Yeah, but I'm going to manifest it. Well, how am I going to do it? Well, I have to manifest the wood. So I'm going to be, in order to get the end result, I'm going to have to manifest the wood. I'm going to have to manifest concrete. I'm going to have to manifest the windows. I'm going to have to manifest the tin to go on top of the roof. in order to achieve me manifesting the room being complete. You follow me? So there are 6 or 7 things that are going to have to be manifested along with the overall manifest of getting the room done. Well, wait a minute. Can't you just say I'm going to build the room instead of manifest it? Well, but in my dreams, I'm manifesting how the room is going to look. Okay, but we're going to build it, right? We're not going to manifest the motherfucker. We're going to build it with nails and hammers and we're going to use a saw. Yeah, we're not going to use our hands and judo chops. No. Uh, so we're not going to use any hoodoo voodoo to manifest anything, are we? No, we're going to go to the store and buy the lumber and we're going to build it. Oh, but aren't we going to manifest this thing? Yeah. Well, we got to manifest the money in order to buy the lumber. Then we have to buy the lumber. Then we have to manifest it, getting it home. And then we're going to have to manifest it, somebody to work on it, to do it or whatever. We have to manifest the tools and all the things that might go along with to build it. So there are all these things. So there are all these little I say little individuals that have to be manifested in order to get the room done. So you're manifesting as you manifest to manifest what you want to manifest. And some people are caught up in that shit and they're confused. So my prayer is, and this is the power of like a little common sense. I get what you mean. I'm going to manifest this year. I swore to God that room's going to be dried in. Okay. But I'm going to have to build it in order for it to get manifested. I understand it. And I've got wood, going to have to get some more. Going to have to get some concrete. We're going to work that out. Everything can be achieved, but the manifesting of the manifest in order to get the manifest that you want. I know it sounds like who's on first and what's on second, right? So, but to the point, we have the power to use our use of words to achieve, that's a good word instead of manifest, to achieve our goal. So my goal is to finish the room. Ooh, I'm going to manifest it. No, I'm going to achieve it. The goal is I have a goal and I will achieve it. I'm going to finish the room. You're going to manifest it. Would you shut the fuck up with the word manifest for a minute? No, you're going to use your mind and you're going to manifest the room being done. My goal is, and I shall achieve it. That says what I want to say. Yeah, but you're going to manifest it. I just want to die. And because I've had these folks have these little arguments with me. Hey, Steve, the Rums. It's a vicious cycle. Or did the lumberjack manifest the lumber? Right, exactly. Who's manifesting who? Be lumber exactly. And see, some of these people that I have chatted with about some of this stuff, they don't see the reality of what I'm trying to say. And I understand what they mean, sort of, when they keep using the damn word. And I'm like, but you have a goal, right? Yes. I'm going to manifest it. Oh, let's stick with the word goal. So you have a goal, and this goal, and what you want is to achieve that goal. Yes, I'm going to manifest it. Okay. So I think by their use of manifesting in some of these circumstances is they're using some kind of supernatural power that they're trying to attain this supernatural power because they want to be able to manifest these things. all the time, right? So the power to do so is within us all, and we just need to pay attention, right? But wait a minute. But if you understand the manifesting thing, it means that you are setting goals that you wish to achieve. In order to achieve those goals, there are just, I'm sorry, you want a house, somebody's got to build it. Lumber's going to have to happen. People are going to have to get paid. The land's going to have to be purchased. Stuff has to happen. Now, if you just seem to be lucky enough to just imagine a house and poof, it's there, well, you one lucky son bitch. And okie dokie, but it really don't work that way. And if you're trying to make it work that way, then you're delving into energies you do not need to be messing with because you ain't ready to use them if you could. So, this idea of when they use the manifest word so much, I think some of these people are saying there's going to be supernatural powers at work for them to achieve this manifestation. This I'm manifesting the okie doke. But so then that means that they're using some consciously or otherwise, they're using some kind of mental something to achieve this manifest, right? So it's supernatural somehow. So they have to learn the supernatural power in order to use the supernatural power to manifest that which they think they need to manifest, right? That's what's going on. So why do they need this power? To manifest these things. Do you know the steps involved in? So my first question to these people are, so what is it that you wish to manifest? That's first off. What is it? Okay. Why comes later on, but what is it that you wish to manifest? Well, I wish to blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute. Then, okay, fine. But there are a bunch of steps. Well, I wish to manifest this garden in the backyard. Okay, fine. Do you know anything about gardening? Well, no. Do you know anything about flowers and plants or landscaping at all? Well, no, but I've got some ideas. Okay, not a problem. It's not like you have to be so freaking smart. 222? Yeah, 322. Here we go. 2 minutes late. I still got some. So you don't know nothing about it. Not a problem. But somehow you're going to manifest a garden. Why? Because I want to be able to share it with other people. Okay, not an issue. I want to be able to go out there and be able to relax and not an issue. Going to put a patio out here. Not a problem. But I'm going to manifest it. Well, you got to get a contractor. Then you got to know about it. And you got to do this. You can do it yourself, but you know how to dig and do you know how to plant it? No. Did you know where to get the information? No. How would you get, okay, but you're going to manifest it. Yep. And it's going to go right over there. And 3 months later, it ain't been manifested because they didn't know any of the steps in order to do it. And they weren't willing to work on them. Like go over here in the corner over here with this piece of the fence and the property and dig a little spot out and put a couple plants in and water them and see how you do. You got to start somewhere. You don't have to do the whole thing, but you want a patio or whatever. Okay, so start over there in the corner and rake it out and whatever and add a little of this and that and just add little things at a time. But 3 months later, nothing's been done. But she's still talking about manifesting how beautiful it's going to look in her backyard. Okay. So she ain't manifested anything because she hasn't acted on any of it. It's a good idea. It's a great thing. It's a nice project. It really is, but you have to do something. It's not just pop up and be done one day. It's just most of the time, 99% of the time, it ain't happening. You have to use your own personal power to act to see that it gets done. to achieve your goal, to manifest it. Holy Jesus. Okie dokie. So, but these folks who are using manifest are somehow, I think, that there's some sort of, I almost want to use the word extraterrestrial. There's some kind of, yeah, then it might actually be the right way to use. There's some kind of extraterrestrial energy or force that's going to help us to, quote, manifest or achieve our goal. Like plants will magically appear. Somebody's going to call on the phone and go, "Hey, I got some rose bushes that I'm going to give you. I'll even drop them over to the house." And they go, "Okay." So they get dropped off, but nobody knows how to plant them, and nobody's got the gumption to plant them. So, but here comes flowers to help with the landscape. That's a gift from God or the universe because somebody is donating them and delivering them. So here you are with a gift, but you don't know anything about it. So you don't plant them, you don't put them in the water, and they end up being crackety and died. And then the gift that was given to help you with your goal and to manifest, you haven't acted on it. So there goes part of your manifestation. And now it's an infestation, and now it's a configuration, because you haven't acted on it. You haven't used your power to bring it to fruition. You'd rather sit and talk about manifesting it somehow magically, and when you actually got to get out there and dig and put the rose bushes in. They were given to you. Here they are, but you got to plant them. Okay, that's what a deal, right? But for folks who don't understand how it works and they get caught, no, somehow it's going to magically appear. Okay, those folks are living in fantasy land, you know, because of how they use the word manifest. And because they don't use the word in the proper context, okay, their brain is confused. And then the whole whoop-de-doo gets confused because for every time they use the word, a lot of times it's out of context and it's being misused. So, and they're not aware of it. They think that they're right in every turn. And if you point it out to them, do you know that in the last 3 minutes you've used the word manifest 5 times? And they go, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? Don't you think maybe you're overusing the word?" Is all I'm saying. In the next 5 minutes, you used it another 10 times. So, everything that's coming out of your mouth, every other word or every other sentence, you're using the word manifest. Is is it appropriate? Is my question, because you keep using the word. So I get it. You could use it once or twice, and I would still get whatever you're talking about. But you keep using the word and using the word and using the word and using the word and using the word. And I've tried to listen in on some podcasts or stuff with some folks. God Almighty, it's every other. They're using manifest, and I said something one time in a chat room, and I have regretted it ever since. You don't know what you're talking about. Keep your nose out of this and blah, blah, blah. And you do. Okay, never mind. Back up. Sorry. Well, you're picking on me or whatever. No, I'm not. I'm trying to make you conscious of the power that you have. And the power that you have is, quit overusing these words and understand that you're overusing them. That's a power. And you don't just, yeah. I'm praying that you will learn this. Please, Jesus, learn this discernment. Stop overusing some of these things. Say it once or twice. We understand. We get it. You don't have to beat it into us. And it was like some other phrases a couple of years ago and stuff that aren't there anymore. They're just not. And I'm glad, because we didn't need them, you know. And people still greet each other, without using these certain words. And but anyway, and I don't know why it grated me when it did, but it did. What you do, and my take. And anyway, I got songs running through my head. So how y'all doing? Of course, it what always all in repeat. It seems. Of course, it did. We all know how to use namaste directly after manifest. I was not going to say the word, and you did. You made me read it. But yeah, namaste was one of them words. There was like every time I turned around, it was namaste, this and that. And I literally, if I just wanted to like, shut the fuck up, would you stop? Yes, namaste. I got, oh no, namaste. Wait, what? You didn't say it right. It's namaste. Yeah, yeah, namaste. No, 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 no. It's namaste. That's what I said. No, you said namaste. Yeah, so it's namaste. What? That's what I said. No, you said namaste. Yeah, it's namaste, right? No, it's namaste. Holy Jesus. Shut up, go away, go, that's how wicked and weird some of these things get is like, you didn't say it right. Yeah, I did. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. And it gets into this like, holy Jesus. Am I watching a comedy show? Is somebody standing in the wings? There's a camera hidden somewhere, right? And one of the things, just as an odd note, just off on the side, like, the overuse of things. And I was watching, and, the world's supposed to be turning green. We're supposed to be doing all these things to make green, right? So I'm talking with folks about new electric vehicles and all. And it's like, right. So how far will this vehicle go? And what's the mileage and so forth? And would you ever get one? And that kind of thing. So we're talking about this, and I'm like, so number one, none of the states are really prepared for charging stations. So now you get, uh, you know, supposed to get a so far on a 2 hour charge, for example. Well, you might only get an hour and 50 minutes. So, but it takes 2 hours to literally to get where there and back again. So you're almost there, but not quite, and your battery runs low, and you're halfway to a charging station. So you got to stop and you can't just put gas in. You have to stop and wait for your vehicle to charge if it works. And if, depending on the vehicle that you have, whether or not the charging station has the correct dongle to go into your vehicle. So you don't know till you get there, number one. So you're out of town and you're trying to get home. So now you got to stop for a couple of hours to wait for your vehicle to charge. A couple hours, you could have been home in another 10 minutes, right? So this convenience of electric cars is going to bite folks in the ass big time. Not counting all the other stuff about batteries and not enough materials to make the batteries. We need to make different ways of charging and so forth. But so with all this hype, people are starting to realize, wait a minute, I couldn't get home. I had to stop for 3 hours and charge at a charging station that half-ass worked, and it was in the hot sun, couldn't run the air conditioner because the car is charging. and I can't do this and I can't do that. It's 95 degrees out and I had to stand in the parking lot and, to wait on my car to charge. And oh, gee, ain't this fun? Wait till that starts becoming more mainstream. Just saying. Because it's starting to become mainstream now. I can't go to grandma's house. I got to stop along the way and charge up because I'm not going to make the whole trip. Well, but then that means you got to stop and sit for 3 hours for the damn thing to charge or however long it charges. That's just time wasted. Now, it ain't like you drove to work and back and charged your car while you're sleeping or, you're not doing something, but you want to go somewhere and get there and back. And you got to stop and charge it. You have to sit there and wait on the mofo. Okay. What are you going to do? You got to sit there and wait. And depending on the vehicle and the batteries and the charging stations and the kilowatts and all that kind of stuff as to how long it's going to take you 3 or 4 hours to charge up your car. So you can go 30 minutes to finish your road trip to grandma's house. And then when you get there, you're going to have to top it off if grandma's got a charger at her house. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to grandma's house and then back to the charging station because you're not going to make it home on the charge that you put in because you went to grandma's and now back again. So now you got to stop. You're going to have to top off the batteries. That means you're going to have to sit at the charging station before you can drive 40 miles to go home. Or whatever it is, because there's not enough charge in between, and the distance and how much the batteries last and so forth. So people are it's gonna be wacko. It's gonna be wacko. Just people having to wait and waste time waiting on their freaking vehicle to charge up when they should have been somewhere. If they'd had a gas vehicle or a hybrid, they could have been there already. So it's going to be interesting how this really pans out. Now, if I lived in Tampa and worked in Tampa and, only had to go a couple of miles here or there or back and around, I could absolutely see where an electric vehicle would be okie doke. But if you live out on the outskirts or you have to travel a certain amount of miles, then you're still going to have to, where's my charging station? And how long am I going to have to wait for my vehicle to charge? So nobody's discussing that. How long am I going to have to wait? I want to go on this trip. Well, the batteries say you can go 300 miles. Folks ain't getting it. You're getting 250 maybe, So you're going to have to plan to stop and wait on your vehicle to charge all along your trip. Wow, isn't that fun? What are you going to do? Play tiddlywinks while you're waiting? I don't know. But to the point, if it's snowing, you're going to have to be in the cold. If it's in the middle of summer, you're going to have to be in the middle of the heat, waiting on your car to charge. That's really going to go over good. But anyway, but that relates to power. So we have the power, folks do, to look at this green stuff and go, they're still nuts. Is an electric car a good idea? Yeah. In all circumstances? No. There are people that live in small communities. Like, my pops lived in a small trailer community. They're at the golf course there in Dade City. And so you could have your golf course and drive all around there and everything. And the community center and back and forth and stuff, and that's fine. And those were all electric, golf carts. So yes, electric vehicles. So everybody gets around and scoots around where they want to and everything. And some neighborhoods is like that, folks just scoot around on their little battery operated. Not a problem. Encourage it, right? So, but they're not going long distance, right? I mean, so that's the whole point. So for me, where I live out here in the country, it would not be appropriate because somewhere between trips, I would have to top off my battery. Now, I could top off my battery every night, but it's also, the batteries get a tendency to get a memory. So if you only use half of the battery and you top it off, you use half the battery, top it off. Half the battery, top it off. The battery gets to remember that and to where it only thinks there's only a half a battery there. So, it's supposed to be smart batteries, but to the point, we have the power to look at this and go, nah, nope, sorry. I'm not going to buy into it. I don't want to spend my life having to sit and wait for my car to charge because I wanted to take a trip somewhere. I don't want to have to rule my life around how to charge my car. I want to be able to drive somewhere like I used to could. That's what people are going to be putting in. And now there's a YouTube video out there of this guy. He's in his car, and somebody walks up to him and goes, "Hey, buddy, there's smoke coming out of your engine." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "There's, my battery operated car." He says, it's red line. It's really hot, and I don't know what to do." And all of a sudden, the guy lifts up the hood for him, and he lifts up the hood, which provides a little bit of oxygen, and the thing starts on fire. The guy helps him out of the his vehicle, and the next thing you know, the inside passenger compartment where the batteries are located under them, the whole car catches on fire. Within a minute, within a minute, this car is ablaze. Electric car and the batteries overheated and like to burn this guy alive in his brand new electric car. you know, Okay. So anyway, we have the power, see, to discern, is this a good, do I really want one of those? Is it appropriate for me? Or that it's all the fad and I'm going to be green. Wait a minute. Why don't you quit being a dumbass and quit talking about this being green shit? You're doing stuff and you're polluting the universe and you don't even freaking know it. And you're talking about being green? Oh yeah, I do this and I save the planet this away. You know how much energy it costs for you to be saving that away. Big deal, you're still a polluter. You ain't green. Oh, electric cars, blah, blah, blah. Years ago, when I talked about this, Ford of Europe developed a Ford Opel GT. Looks like a little sports car, I mean, like a GT, right? It's diesel, 90 miles to the gallon it can drive. It holds 10 gallons of diesel, which means you can go 900 miles on a tank of gas. And they wouldn't let them in the United States. You know why? Because it's a diesel. They have to EPA has to hook something up to the tailpipe. At idle, it did not pass the test. And they said, nope, you can't import them. Now, this was back in 2002 and 2003 when I worked in the industry and we were getting, inside publications, Ford stuff, and this and that. And they put that out there, and I was like, 90 miles a gallon, and it'll do it at 90 miles an hour. And it's got a 10 gallon tank, so you can go 900 miles at 90 miles an hour. What? No, but we can't have them over here. So people say, well, oh, there's no way we can't be more gas efficient. We've reached the level of efficiency with gasoline engines. No, we haven't, because there's a diesel sitting over in Europe, made by Ford, of Europe, And I don't know what engine they're using, who's, doing it, but they're getting 90 miles a gallon. I'm sorry, but no, we still have the technology. We can still use diesel fuels that are cleaner burning and so forth. And if you're in one of these little vehicles and you might be sitting at a traffic light, and so you're polluting a little bit. But while you're going down the highway at 90 miles to the gallon, you're not polluting much because you're getting 90 miles to a gallon, where another vehicle might only get 30 miles to a gallon. So, oh my God, the savings and the pollution that you're not exerting, and oh my God. So now, if more folks knew about that, we should have the power to say, y'all build them. We need some of them over here. I'm sorry. We need some of them over here. Forget all this battery stuff. I go 90 miles on a gallon of diesel fuel. Bring that some bitch over here. I want one. But nope, you can't buy them. You can't import them. You can go over there and drive them. But. But anyway, so that's how things go in the world. But, for folks to manifest and keep that on their brain, you know, set goals. Absolutely. Whether you're going to manifest them or not, I don't know. But I would rather you say, look, I've got these goals. I want to try, like, I think Barry's fell asleep, but I want to go to his house. I want to get my truck fixed up and finish my brakes and so forth, get back straightened out. And I went, and if Steve's anywhere in the neighborhood, maybe he can come over and visit us. But I want to go visit, Barry in Missouri there. And I want to go fishing again in the Ozarks, and I want to take Duggar, and you know, and so that's my goal. It might take a little longer than I expected, but it's still my goal. But how am I going to manifest it? Well, I got to fix my truck, and I got to do a certain amount of things in order for any manifestation to go on. Any manifest. If any of that is, I've got certain steps I got to follow, and I realize it. And as much as I want it to happen tomorrow, it's going to take a little longer than that. But it's okay, because what I've learned through my trips to the universe with mushrooms or whatever, I have learned that there are certain things that need to be done in certain orders. And I can't push the universe to act on my behalf. Now, I have been in situations where the universe has acted on my behalf, and I didn't know how the hell it worked out that way, but the universe did, and I'm very glad. But you can't expect that to be that same way all the time. Well, the universe is going to act on my behalf. No, 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 no. You have to act on your behalf. And somewhere along the line, you might get a break, like me needing, clutch parts. So I'm sitting here thinking the other day, and in between little rain showers, and I get on the Advanced Auto website, woo, 15% discount if I buy parts today. Well, I need the parts. I know what parts they are. So I ordered one part, saved 15%, ordered the other part, saved 15%. And what was going to cost me 140 bucks cost me a little over 100. Pretty good deal. So, so we learn how to save money. We learn how to cut corners without being stupid, you know. Don't leave off the hinges on your door or something. Anyway, I'm gonna save a couple of bucks, man. Yeah. Okay. Um, but the power of the mind, being able to discern and think things through in many different situations. So, in my being high on well, I was high more on mushrooms. Okay, so my tripping with mushrooms, what did I learn from that? I learned that even in the worst of circumstances of being high, I could still control it. I could still keep from having a bad trip. I could still talk to myself. I could still maintain, a core thing. I could sit by the fire and ask a question to the universe versus just sit there and trip. I could actually maintain a conversation with whoever it was I was talking to at the time. And I was aware of my surroundings. And I know I was aware of my surroundings, even though I was tripping. I was still aware that I was aware. It's that safe word side of your brain that says if stuff gets too bad, let me know. But then you have to let the rest of the brain just run free with the experience of the trip and let different chapters open up in your brain. And so as they open up those, so one of the things that I've learned, if you're interested in using this to find out about you and the universe, then you focus on that chapter while you're tripping. And sometimes, if you're really tripping, you're really out there and you're having trouble focusing on anything and your brain's not doing anything bad and it's not a bad trip, but it's running rampant on its own. Space trucking, yeah. um I was thinking, I think the song, right? I could hear it playing in the background. You say tripping like it's a bad thing. Well, some trips were bad, but to the point, when you've had 500 trips like me, at least 300 of them with mushrooms. I would venture 250, 300 with mushrooms, considering how many times I bought a hundred hits of acid. I bought 500 hits of acid, and I took a lot of them. So how many times have you tripped, Dave? Well, I had 500 hits and I ate a third of them. What? Yeah, so that's how many trips did you take, Dave? That's the answer. How do I know I tripped that many times? Because of how many hits I bought. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, bad thing, no. But for people who haven't tripped, is sort of where I'm going with it. You not, I've had way too much experience. But somebody who's never tripped or only tripped once or twice, what do you expect? And you could end up with a bad trip if you are not aware of your surroundings and what's going on. And, how did you grow up? Have you had anybody to help you with these types of things? You know, and there are people who are paranoid of stuff and they don't know it until they get tripping. And they go, oh my God, I'm paranoid of this. And it's like, calm down. And so their whole trip of they're paranoid about something. Oh, Jesus, what a waste of time and effort, you know. Face this fear now. Well, I'm afraid of frogs. Well, we're sitting by a pond for crying out loud. I know, but I'm afraid of frogs. Yeah. And there's a giant bullfrog over there. Bro, bro. He's coming to eat me. Holy Jesus. You're tripping. Calm down. But there are frogs in the pond. Yes. Most ponds have frogs. But I'm afraid of them. I'm scared of them. And now I'm tripping. And there's a giant frog over there. Bro, bro. And this guy's gone bonkers. And he wants to get up and go back to the house. And, there are no lights and it's dark and there's a little fire. And he's freaking out about bullfrogs. I mean, literally, that's a bad trip. That's a bad trip. And I have been around folks like that. So, and from my point of view, they can't keep up, simply because they have not experienced it. And whatever it is that they are tripping about, they don't have a safe place to say, hang on. Oh, hear that frog? Yeah, I'm afraid of frog. Yeah, but he's on the other side. On. So calm down. Yeah, okay. Bro, bro. That must be a big frog. Yeah, but he's on the other side of the pond. That's right. That big old frog's on the other side of the pond. Bro, can't get me. Nope. So you turn the fear into a, he's on the other side of the pond, can't get you. Bro. And you copy him and you do something to change the tone of the fear, right? So, but if somebody doesn't know how to switch things around, then this trip that's supposed to be enlightening has turned into a darkness for the poor fellow who's afraid of frogs and who's really tripping. So why waste this? So you help them turn it, but he's on, but big frog, yes. You're scared of big frogs, yes. But he's on the other side of the pond. Okay. If he's on the other side of the pond, he can't hurt you. Yeah, but what if he swims over? He's not because he's still on the other side of the pond. How do you know? Listen, bro, bro. Yeah, but I'm tripping out, man. Yeah, but he's on the other side of the pond. Hear him? Bro. And you start mimicking, and then the frog mimics, and then he mimics, and then you go. So you shouldn't be afraid of him because he's on the other side of the pond. And as long as he's croaking over there, he ain't coming over here. And if he does come on over here, we're 50 feet from the pond. We'll know before it gets here because what he'll do, bro, he'll croak when he gets here. And if we kill him, he'll really croak and make a joke out of it and laugh. And, so you turn this fear that's really ripping through this person into a more positive thing. He's still scared of frogs, but not that frog and not now because you've changed the story. You've actually pointed out the actual story. He's on the other side of the pond. But you don't get him down on him. You treat it as a because they're tripping and because you have to go into the trip with them and help them understand, yeah, the other side of the pond. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's okay because he's on the other side of the pond. Yep. We're monitoring him. And I might even say, like, for example, I won't let the frog get you. I'll get that frog before that frog gets you, because I'm a master frog getter, And will you, Dave? Yeah. Are you sure, Hawkeye? I'm positive. I'm going to be looking out for that frog. And if he comes over here, I'll make sure. I'll let you know. And if the frog came over anyway, whether we were tripping or not, I would still like want to know what the frog was kind of thing. But anyway, just because of a nature person. But to the point though, to the person tripping, so the frogs that's just an example, but there have been the strangest things that people get tripped out about on their first couple of times of doing any kind of hallucinogenic. And most of the time when I was working with folks around the fire, most of the time it was mushrooms. So they were having extreme whatevers while on mushrooms, but with some of the strangest, weirdest things that they had fears about. So you have to power, you have to empower them while they're tripping and have lost control because they're tripping. And no one has taught them how to control the trip or how to keep it from going too far out of bounds over here on something that there are some things it's like, man, I was watching this bug the other day, man, I was tripping on him. And man, so you trip on the bug. Okay. So you watch it, you become the bug, you watch it crawl across the space and you watch it do this. And you literally become something or become so involved while you're tripping that, man, I felt like I really was the bug, man. That's cool. Because that's actually kind of sort of what you want to do. Sort of project yourself. What is it like to be that bug right there? How, when I look at a space like, that's 2 foot long, and it only took that bug less than 2 seconds to go that 2 foot. It scurried across that space like, boom. And I didn't notice it till I was tripping. And then it was like, wow, man, that bug really hauled ass. I didn't know bugs could go that fast. And then you start thinking how fast bugs go, and you're tripping. But now you've got this thought pattern. I didn't know bugs could go that fast. Well, how fast can bugs go? Well, I don't know. So your brain can take this whole little trip within a trip because you started thinking about how fast bugs could go. Okay. But that's the power of the brain, you see. And the power of deduction with that is a fun place to just go down this little side trip. God almighty, I didn't know bugs could go that fast. And you talk about this or something while you're tripping, but then you've gained an insight. Some bugs haul ass, you know, and in general, you didn't know that before, especially that great big beetle that just went "Nyom," and run across us. "Nyom," he went, I saw it. I even saw the trails. "Nyom," he went so fast. And so then watching a bug go by becomes, funny and hilarious. And then you start looking for other bugs and how fast they go while you're tripping. And then it becomes fun. But there's a message in how different bugs go at different speeds, and you never stop to think about that. So in part of the understanding of the universe, it's one I never stop to think about how fast bugs go. I was watching an ant on the floor and I was like, considering the distance he just traveled in less than 5 seconds, that ant is hauling ass. I want to compute how many mile per hour he's going because he went from here to over there in less than 4 seconds. And the distance is like 10 feet. So he went 10 feet in less than 4 seconds. Yum, he was there. Now, how fast is that? Now, if I could turn me into let's upstage that. So if I was to take that 10 feet and say, now it's 100 feet. I go 100 feet in less than 4 seconds? No, I don't think so. At least not now. But considering it, then that means you're running track. You're hauling ass. So here's this little ant that just moseying along. But in retrospect, he's really booking it, you know? So, but who cares, right? Well, but if you're trying to understand the universe, these nuances of things add up in the long run. They do make a difference because it's another way of, well, how can bumblebees fly? Because of their shape, they are not aerodynamically equipped to fly. So how can bumblebees fly? Why? Because nobody told them they couldn't. That's how they can fly. Carpenter bees, big old things, and all over the place. They should not be able to fly because they are poorly designed as far as flying is concerned. But they do it and do it anyway because nobody told them they couldn't. So they fly. There you go. That's the answer to that one. But listen, my dear friends, it's been almost 3 hours at this. And I'm all for the power of knowledge. Absolutely. I'm all for the power of self power, empowerment to people. But I've been listening to some women talk about empowerment for themselves, and I think they're being selfish. I'm empowering this. You've already got it, honey. Well, but women need to be more empowered. They are empowered. Why do you think women need more empowerment? You can get any kind of job, you can do anything you want. There are women welders, there are women this, there are women that. Women can do any damn thing they want to. What more empowerment do you think women need? They're CEOs, they're presidents, there's a vice president, But so how much? I'm just asking because back in the days of burning bras, women wanted more empowerment. Well, women weren't even allowed to vote, and with this and that, you know. And so women these days are bitching because they aren't empowered enough. And I just want to say, you folks are just too goddamn stingy. You've already got it. You can get any damn thing you want. Oh, but there are these white men in society. Yeah. And some of them white men will pinch you on the ass. Some of them white men will do it to a boy too. Listen, honey, well, there's skank, and the men and the this and the glass ceiling and all that. Oh, come on. Quit using that as an excuse. There are a lot of people who own their own business, a lot of women, and they're doing just fine. There is no glass ceiling or any of this bullshit. So stop talking about that you need more empowerment. You're not using what you got already. And if you could utilize what you've already got, if you use the power of your brain and the power of discernment, you will already realize you've got everything you need. You just need to utilize it correctly. You don't need to be empowered with more. You dumb bitch. I'm thinking of this one woman that did this thing about how women today are suppressed. Well, yeah, because you keep letting men in to your group. You should be suppressed. Kick them men out. This transgender bullshit. Kick them out of your bathrooms. Take your power back. But this idea that they don't feel empowered enough. What do you need extra? What out what out there is not at a woman's command that she can utilize and help that she can get, but you got to work for it. You can't just let it happen. There are some women I know that have thought, well, but I'm a woman and they should help me and this. Yeah, okay, all right. So you're a woman and you need help, but you need to get a fucking job. You need to work for something. That they want me to volunteer 2 days a week to pay for, so volunteer for 2 days a week. And it's only for 4 hours. And you won't do that. Why? Well, they want me to do this, and I just don't feel empowered enough. What the fuck is wrong with you? They're giving you free stuff, but they want you to volunteer at a nursing home or something for 4 hours twice a day, 8 hours a week, and split up into 2 days. And you got to go to town anyway, and you won't do it. Why? Because what? What? Oh, we women are empowered enough. Kiss my grits. I'm sorry. You know. Now, women, I'm on y'all's side. I really am. But some of these folks are just some of these women folk. You just want to slap them and go, "You've already got all these things. You you can't count. Will you count your blessings for crying out loud?" So, with all the power that they have, they still feel at a loss. They feel less empowered because of all the power, because they're confused and don't know how to use it. That makes them feel powerless. If you could be surrounded by a room full of tools, but if you don't know how to use any of them but a hammer, then everything else is useless. So if somebody says, "Go get me a screwdriver," you bring them a hammer because that's the only tool right? So, but you've got all these other tools, you're just not aware of them. Well, but there are flathead screwdrivers and there are Phillips head screwdrivers. What? Two different kinds of screwdrivers? Yeah, and they're different lengths and they're different sizes. Yes, absolutely. But, they're basically two different kinds of screwdrivers, Phillips head and flathead. Well, what does the screwdriver look like? You've never seen one? No. Well, I'll have to show you and demonstrate then. You see this one, and it looks like this. So now you are empowering this person who has a room full of tools at their disposal, but because they don't know the difference between screwdrivers, they are powerless. Honestly, you know, you got a hole saw over here that fits into a drill that'll drill almost any size hole that you would practically need. And so, but you don't know about this. So you end up finding your hammer and a chisel and you start hacking at whatever piece of wood it is to carve you a hole. When you could have hooked this device up to a drill and went and be done with it, right? But no, you don't know about the tool. So you use a hammer, which you know how to use, and a chisel, which you've used a few times. So you use what you know, but that doesn't mean that the tools that you're using is correct. So in life, it's the same way. So these people who are bitching that they don't have enough, women don't have enough empowerment, it's because they don't know how to use what's already available. They have all these tools laying around them, and they don't know the difference between a flathead and a Phillips. So, what good do these tools do them? None. And therefore, they feel powerless. Therefore, they say, women need more empowerment. No, you need to learn how to fucking use what you got. That's honesty. But you got so much, but you don't know how to use it. Let us help you use what's there. Let's open your eyes and teach you to use that brain of yours because you want to be more aware and you want to have that power, right? You want the power of the brain, you want the power of self empowerment. Well, then pay attention and learn how to use the tools. That's the bottom line. It really is. Use the tools that are there and quit bitching about what you don't have. Because the reason you ain't got it is because you don't know how to get it. You don't know how to use the tools. But anyway, so it's been 3 hours and I'm really tired because I've been up for a long time today and very busy. But I love you all, and I'm hoping that people will, when they see this video, they will at least stop and consider, what do they mean by power? Why do they want it? What is the end game, end goal? What is their goal that they wish to achieve? What do they wish to manifest? So ask them the question. Don't belittle them. Say, well, it sounds like a good idea, but how are you going to do it? What are your goals? How do you wish to achieve wow, I want to save the world too, but how am I going to do it? You know, and at one person at a time. you know let's have coffee, let's have tea, let's have a discussion with just you and me. So I thank you all for hanging out. I wanted to be on her team. Who is that? I knew a young lady that went to play football with a baseball bat. And you wanted to be on her team. Well, listen, everybody, I love you. Thank you so much. Have a great tomorrow. Tuesday wasn't so bad in the long run. So, Michelle, and everybody, I love you all. I do. I'm always sending prayers. Witch Moon and Steve and the Romps. It's good to see you here this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you live, and all y'all other folks too. And so I'm out of what's in my bowl. Yeah, it's 4:10. Is that right? Is that what it says? Holy crap. A couple of more minutes will be 4:20. Well, maybe I should put some more in it. Oh, man, and in a couple of minutes, yeah. Here, let me see what I got to put in this bowl. And then I'll 4:20 y'all officially out of here. But anyway, with staying on the idea of the power, we really do have the power. We just have to work through it, you know. And sometimes we can achieve our goals quicker, which means we can manifest what we wish, you know. Um, and sometimes we're luckier than others. Sometimes we know people or don't know people. But the biggest thing is we ask questions. We're polite when we ask questions. If we're sincere, if what we wish to manifest is honest, then we should be an honest person, and we should do so with panache and some grace and a little bit of intelligence, and achieve your goal, you know. But I told my neighbor the other day when I went up there to pick up my parts, because they won't drop them down here or down the driveway. I told him, I said, y'all got that bulldozer sitting barn over there? Yeah. I said, I've been here 40 years and I've been wanting to rent a bulldozer or whatever to clear a spot down here for a pond. And I said, I've never asked you, but you got a bulldozer sitting right there. When the weather clears up and it dries up back here, um, if you want to make a few bucks, let me know, because you can do it, or I'll ride on it, or I'll ride with you, or whatever. And, and use your bulldozer a couple of times and push over some trees and start me a pond. I've been here 40 years and we've never talked about it, but you, you got the means right here. Would you be interested? And he goes, well, we'll talk about it. It's too wet right now. But say I'd never talked to him about it. Now that I have, and now there's like, we started a conversation, so now I can follow up on it and go, hey, remember I mentioned to you about using that bulldozer of yours? I'll buy the diesel, whatever it takes, and you can drive it, or you can show me how to drive it, or, but however you want to do it, but rent it, how much an hour, blah, blah, blah. And I'll rent it for how much money do I have? Well, I got $500. Well, it might only be 5 hours, but you can push up a lot of trees and shit in 5 hours. So go for it. So for $500, go through the woods right there and push over some of these old trees and these little things and clear this spot out for me. It's worth $500. Okay, go for it. So, but anyway, so I've had having that chat with my neighbor. My point to that is that in order to get what you want, even after all these years, I hadn't put forth that energy to my next door neighbor who has a bulldozer. You know what I mean? I've always talked about, man, I should talk to my neighbor. Man, I should talk to my neighbor. So I talked to him. So it took 40 years, though, to initiate the conversation. Sometimes it takes a long time, but it's my fault. But sometimes it takes a long time for things to manifest themselves, But it's my fault, and I admit it freely. But to the point, so how come certain goals don't get achieved or things don't manifest themselves? Have you actually done your homework? To help it along? And the answer is I could have went up there and talked to them before, and I hadn't. I didn't. I did the other day. So now that part's over with. So now I will follow up on it. Find out how much money it would cost me for him to run per hour. Um, and find out how much money I could save, how much, you know, would he crank it up for 5 hours or 2 hours? Or does he, to crank up his bulldozer, does he require a minimum of 10 hours? Okay, that might mean $1,000. Okay, but you're going to do 10 hours worth of work? Okay, and you can build a pond for me in 10 hours for basically what I want, or at least clear it out really dang good. But you have to put forth the effort. You have to use your own power of words, of thoughts, or act, whatever. You have to use that power. You have to talk to someone. You have to call somebody. You got to ask a question. or you got to go and physically do something. If you're building something, you got to go pick up the wood, or, so you have to do something, not just wait for it to happen. And for the last 40 years, that's kind of sort of what's happened with my, I wish I had a pond in the back. I haven't acted on it as hard or as much as I should have, because if I had acted on it way back when, I could have it achieved by now. But I spent 40 years of wishing that I could get a pond dug. I wish I could get it dug. And boy, wouldn't it be neat? Blah, blah, blah. Wishing when basically you need to just go talk to somebody and go, hey, how much is it going to cost me to do this? Well, how can we schedule this? And go, well, I got $500. Would you, how much will you do for that? And go, well, I could do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okie dokie, here's $500. Go for it. I'll come down and watch you. I'll help you, whatever it is, but here's $500 right now. Let's go do it. And then for me, it's up to me to save up $500 more. What time is it for? It's for what? Oh, it's 4:20 on the nose. Okay. I didn't add any. I'm just fluffing this up a little bit. So, but in life, I sat and wished for something for 40 years, and I did not act on it. And here recently, I have realized that it's my own fault that there's not a pond back there, because I've just wished for it to happen and it never happened. So now I'm going to actively work on it and call people and go, how much land clearing will you do for $500 or $1,000? Will you come look at my spot? I want to have some land cleared. There's some other folks just down the road a little ways, less than, well, about a mile. And they've got all kinds and they do land clearing. So I can go down there and talk to them and go, hey, I got some stuff I need to want done, blah, blah, blah. Will you come down to the house? I'm sort of like a neighbor, look at this. How much will you charge? And go for it, versus one of these days I ought to call them. I wonder how much them folks would charge. So every time I go to town and back, I go by the place down here, and the same thought goes through my head. Wonder how much they charge. Well, why don't you fucking stop and ask them? Why don't you call them on the phone and say, hi, I live down the road. How much would you charge to bring your, biggest backhoe down here and do some land clearing for me? How much an hour? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, my name is David. No, would you come down and, yeah, when can you come? Blah, 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 blah. Here's my number. We're almost neighbors. So they can pick up a few extra bucks and not have to go very far. And they can work it. I don't care when you want to do it. If you got some time and you're not doing anything, call me, come on down. Really? Yeah. And you can make $500 or $1,000, because that's about, I don't have $1,000 right now, but give me a month or so and I'll have it, because I'll save up for it. But I got $500 now, so if you want to wait till I get another $500 or another 250 or something, how much will it charge you to start your vehicle and bring it down here? A lot of folks will only do minimum hours, so fine. But if I don't act on it, it don't get done. The vision doesn't get visioned. My manifesting of whatever I would like doesn't get done, because I haven't fulfilled my job by promoting this thing and working harder. So manifest all you want, but you're still going to have to work for it. So happy 420. Don't be pissed at life, because life don't give it to you right away. Sometimes you don't deserve it right away. Sometimes you have to wait 40 years to appreciate it. And it's sort of like my lesson, right? What a hard lesson to learn. But at the same time, it's like it's still a lesson and I'm still learning it. I'm still alive, and I'm still learning stuff in life till I die, right? So, but something that should have been obvious 20 years ago is only now becoming obvious about certain things, like asking people how much it cost, my neighbor into this. And why haven't I asked this question before? Why haven't I used my own power of conversation to talk to people to at least find out, right? So my dream does not get manifested because I didn't use the power that I have. So maybe things don't work out for you. For me, you have to look and be brutally honest. And I was like, Dave, you've been one lazy mofo. You could have called them people, stopped in. You could have talked to your neighbor. You could have left a note on the door. A lot of stuff I could have done before now, and I didn't. Nobody's fault but my own. I didn't use my own power. So don't get caught in that and say, oh, the world, oh, my dream isn't coming true. Oh, have you actually tried to do something about it? Honestly. Well, I don't know. And I don't know if I call up over here, it's not going to. But did you call? Did you try to call? Did you make the effort? Well, no, because, I'm talking to myself here, but well, no, I didn't know if these people, and I didn't know if the number that I saw, and I don't know if I should drive up in the yard because I don't have a horn, and I don't want to invade their privacy. When they're standing out in the yard, stop for crying out loud and tell them what you want, and well, I don't know if I should do that, and interrupt. That's me talking about the folks down the road, right? Should have talked to these folks a long time before. It's my fault. So don't let it be your fault. Use the power that you already have, but you have to act on it. So now, tomorrow or the next day when I go into Moultrie for my swimming stuff, I want to stop by up there and at least go drive in the yard and go, hey, you know, y'all got a phone number I can talk to you, or you got a minute, because they do have a shop out there. So I'll just pull up to the shop, see if anybody's there, or, make enough noise with my truck. Somebody will come out and I'll go, hi, this is me. This is what I want. Y'all got a minute. And be that new, not no, nosy neighbor, I was going to say nuanced neighbor. Didn't sound right. But anyway, not pesky, but anyway. So I love you all. It's 4:27 and 3 hours and 22 minutes. Cheers, everybody. I know here recently with some things, there have been some close calls. Just odd things that normally run real smooth have been real smooth, and then all of a sudden it's like, stink, and then it's smooth on the other side. But holy crap, they're like speed bumps that shouldn't be there that appear out of nowhere in life and just where the mother did that some bitch come from, holy God Almighty, and comes up and bites the bottom of your car in half, and wait a minute, speed bump of life. So there's been some speed bumps here, and not just for me but some other people and around. There's been some speed bumps that have been atrocious. And as much as we try to pay attention, and if we see a speed bump coming, at least be aware to slow down versus, a speed bump showing up out of nowhere and you go and you hit it at 70 miles an hour, and make a wreck of things. So life will throw speed bumps your way, and we just have to be as prepared as possible that sometimes there's just going to be a pothole and we ain't going to see it till we get there. And there, you know what I'm talking about. And if you drive a car, there are potholes that just kind of sort of, son bitch, that thing, I was being careful and all of a sudden, and it eats your whole side of your car and down you go and hit that bump, and life will do that to you too. But the thing is that it's just a speed bump. It's just a, it's just a pothole. Yeah, it's life, and it's a pain in the ass, and you might have to realign your front end if you hit it hard enough. But that basically you made it through it. Your car, hopefully, your car didn't fall apart over it, but and so that. And you learned a lesson, and even though that you're a safe driver, um, sometimes potholes just, son of a gun, they appear and you try to avoid them, and you would have a wreck if you tried to swerve and miss them, but you do the best you can. So in life, it's the same way. Sometimes you just can't miss that pothole. But the thing is that you usually end up on the other side of the pothole. You know what I mean? So yeah, you hit it. Yeah, it's a bitch. Yeah, but you're still here and you made it to the other side. Avoid the potholes the best you can, but remember, if you hit one, it's okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. It's just a pothole versus it's the end of the world. Oh my God. No, it's just a pothole. No, but I mean, I hit this thing and it was really deep and it was really, and I think the hole was so deep, I think there were demons coming out of it. It was just a pothole. Calm down. But the demons, and I swear to God, Satan was in this hole in the ground and disappeared. It was just a pothole. Calm down. It's just a pothole. So, and I don't know if there's a pot in the hole or not, but it's just a pothole. So until next time, my dear friends, please be safe and just think about why and what for, like power. Well, wait a minute, maybe you already have it. And honestly, on a spiritual level, on a physical level, may already, you probably do already possess the power that you're looking for. But what you want to ask the universe is, how do I use this power that I already have? How do I use this power efficiently and humanely and whatever, because you want to, hopefully you want to do it positively. So your prayer to the universe when you're on your ayahuasca or whatever is, to the universe, I want to do good, show me how. My I wish to achieve this, show me how. I wish to, speak more about freedom or something, or be a, show me how. Guide me, show me how, to the universe. And then allow your trip, allow that whatever, that consciousness to go out yonder and fish around, to see, what your path should be, you know. And some more, the more, to control your high while you're doing this searching. If you are very focused, say um, you want to open up your brain and you want to focus on, what is my, this is what I'd like to do. These are the goals I wish to achieve. And so whatever it is, um, and I'm going to use, not that I have done this, but sort of, I want to be a shaman. Okay. So How do I be a shaman? What do I do? Show it, am I qualified? Because I had these issues earlier on. Am I qualified to be a medicine man? Am I qualified to be, as people have told me, that I'm a hey, okay. And I accept that, you know. But, does that mean I'm qualified to be a shaman in any way, shape, or form? Now, to be a medicine man, I could understand because I know, certain things about certain plants, and I know certain things about the woods and about this, and I can minister in certain ways. So, medicine man, not traditionally, but it's good medicine to be able to teach people or to pass along information. So I'm thinking medicine in that term, not necessarily a medicine man who's shaking a thing. But at the same time, I was taught to do certain types of ceremonies where I can shake a rattle and roll, but the idea, so in that I can share, or I am a medicine man in that respect. So, but does that qualify to me for me to be a shaman? And am I a true medicine man? No, but I can provide medicine, and I can provide spiritual medicine by doing these different ceremonies and by having people be involved and for them to be involved and understand it, and for them to help cure themselves with some of this stuff, for them to help learn for them how to partake in curing their a spiritual need, for example, or they're trying to get rid of an old habit or something like that. So but anyway, but to that point, so but that's providing medicine of the spirit and of the soul. So why can't I be a medicine man? So that was my question to the universe, and what should I do about this? Because I hadn't really considered this years ago. Now, when Joe was here and he was teaching me how to do ceremonies, I was obviously on a path. And the fact that I knew 90% of some of this stuff without anybody teaching it to me was another level of you have the power, you have the knowledge, you just need training on how to use it, is what he told me about what I had learned about some of the ceremonies and things that I was doing and performing. And, he kept asking me, where did you learn this? From the universe. And he'd just shake his head and look at me and go, well, you got most of it right. Just move this over here and do this over here. And you got it, dude. Really? There's nothing else. I got it. Yeah. You get an A plus. Don't know who taught you this, but because Joe kept shaking his head, going, "I can't believe you know how to do this. Are you sure nobody's taught you? Joe. You know me. That's why you're here to teach me." He goes, "Well, there's nothing I need to teach it. you know, but I can confirm that you're doing it right," which was, that was good. So, but I'd asked the universe on how to do this. And so you need to ask the universe, what is my path? Which way should I go? Show me alternatives. However, so if you're doing whatever, hallucinogen it is, then have that as your focus. So as your mind is wandering out in the universe, you have this core thing. I want to know what my path is concerning being a medicine man slash shaman. Okay, universe, show me, show me, show me what I need to do. If I need to do anything, am I on the right path? Should I be doing anything at all? Should I even pursue this any further? I mean, I was like, I'm ready to give this up if the universe says I should. So, but the prayer came back and said, no, you just need to keep going and you're going to sort of learn along the way. you know, it's sort of, on the job training. Okay. But we're going to help you and we're going to show signs and things. But, you got to pay attention. There's certain rules, You got to follow the law of one, and you got to do these things. And no, but if you do these simple things, then we're going to help you along the way. And you have to trust us. We will help you along the way. So here I sit after all this time, and after going for another 25 minutes when I said I was going to shut up. But, that's how I got here. But the power that I sought back then was the power to understand what my path was. What? So, for those folks who are grasping for the power of something, grasp for, if they're wandering in the woods, we'll say, and in the wilderness, then reach out to the universe and grasp what is it you think I should be doing, and am I doing it right? And if I'm doing it wrong, gently if you can, but you got to be willing to pay attention. Otherwise, the universe is going to slap you really hard if you're not paying attention when you should be. Okay, if that's part of your contract. So if you're asking the universe and you're on hallucinogens and you're trying to talk to the spirits and everything's kind of going along, but there might be some things that's like, they tell you something that you might not like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, or no, you're doing that wrong. Because early on with some things, I got my hands, I'm thinking of what at Catholic school in grade school when they wrapped your knuckles with the wooden ruler, and how many times I got my knuckles wrapped, smacked. And so it's one of those issues. So I think I'm doing something, and they were like, smack, smack, smack. No, you're not. You're not doing that right. Yeah, man, you've got the wrong thing. Now, early on when I first started this channel, they beat me up over some things early on. And but I needed to be beaten up over it because I was in the wrong thing and I was doing blah 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 and I had to write. And it's like, no, you can't do that. So spiritually, they beat the crap out of me to straighten me out. And it's been there are times when I still get whooped on a little bit because maybe I've strayed or I should have talked about this before or just something. And I say they whoop me a little bit. It's like, hey, pay attention. Remember you're supposed to talk about this. Okay, that's right. Let me get my little brain cells together here, and we'll pursue this, and I'll do it like tonight and now. But so in the overall of things, if you have agreed to understand your role in the universe, if you've asked the question, then you should be willing to follow through on it. You should be willing to accept certain things, which means that you might have to give up some stuff, or you might have to go out and learn something. You might actually have to go to school or something or take a class. Depends on what you're asking for, right? So if you want to be a shaman or if you want to be a medicine man, there's shit you're going to have to learn. So I have all these books on plants and mushrooms and minerals and all of these different ways of using these different things, to heal people and things. So it's like I've had brain damage and I can't remember most of it, but I know where the book is, you see. So, in the facts that I invested in these books years ago and that I've been practicing, and now you can take a photograph of a plant and send it off to the internet and it'll identify it for you. Sweet. That's been an issue for me because some plants, because of my brain, these two look a lot alike, and they're not. This one's this one, and this one's that. They're on the opposite ends of the book, and neither one of them have any value. But this is what they are. And you think it's something else, which can get you in trouble if you're trying to find medicinal plants. So, but anyway, it's the power of knowledge. What power do I seek in the universe? The power of knowledge, the power to be able to learn more. Not for folks to like grant me power, grant me this power. No, nobody grants you shit. You work for it. The power of knowledge is that's it. The more knowledge they have, the more you can work through issues, and the more you understand about the universe and being mellow and so forth. But that's still knowledge, you know. So the knowledge of understanding about breathing and exercising and stuff and maintaining your own personal and spiritual well-being and not staying stressed all the time and eating properly and these basic things. But that's power. So when you eat the right things and when you think the right things, your body and your energy is powerful. Anyway, see, after almost 4 hours, I can still use the word power in another context, but that's how important the word power is in so many contexts. And we ain't even talked about, electrical power or the power of the ether yet, and I'm not. But there's that too. There's the power of the astral plane, but you've got to master and learn some of these other things before you can jump into some of these other stuff because they're a lot more in depth. So you need to learn the basics first. So pick up on these things, which is really going to improve your life, especially if you practice them. So you learn how to do these basics and then you can jump to the next level. So I love you all. Sleep well. Have a good tomorrow, which is already here. And we'll talk soon. Barry has told me that I haven't done a card session in a while, and he's right. And I told him I needed to get my head together and my back together because I've been at odds with stuff, and it just hasn't been the right time, but soon. So he's going to help me, and we're going to do card readings one night. So I love you all. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many, 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 many blessings that are still out there in the universe. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. They work hand in hand in all different facets of life, no matter who you are. You know how to fish, you know how to catch, that's powerful. But if somebody, they're really smart and they can do calculus, but they don't know how to catch a fish. Well, you can do calculus all day long, but it ain't going to feed you. you know, but that dummy that lives in the swamp that knows how to fish, who's more intelligent? The guy that knows how to do calculus or the guy that knows how to catch fish and can feed himself, without having to learn calculus. Doesn't mean the calculus isn't necessary, but calculus don't feed the guy that's doing it. It's through other modes, you know. So, but anyway, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And learn how to use your own power, the power that's already given to you. Blessings to you all. Stay safe, stay healthy. And until next time, this was only supposed to be an hour and a half video, but I did it again. It's almost 4 hours. So I love you. Till next time, please be safe.